with getting a little bit of feedback. Not sure why. Let's try that. Any idea, Alpha, while we're getting feedback? Keep talking. You just have to say the alphabet. Good thing I'm a singer to these disasters.
If you have your volume on your StreamYard up, turn your volume on.
My mic on my StreamYard is actually off.
No, not your mic. Like your volume coming out of your StreamYard.
Okay, how about now? What? Look at you. Okay, special thanks to Alpha Warrior. Alpha has partnered with me for this show, and if you're not following him, please do so. He is streaming on all of his streaming channels, and I'm streaming on mine as well through Twitter as well as YouTube. Very exciting things and changes that StreamYard has allowed us to do as content creators, which I was unaware of because I don't spend a whole lot of time in front of the camera. I spend way more time behind the camera and on the microphone, which is where I am most comfortable. So if you guys would like to see what is up on the screen, you guys can follow the stream on Twitter. You can also follow it on Rumble, whether you're following Alpha or you're following my streams as well. But yeah, welcome. I am so excited you guys are here. Please retweet the space. This is a very exciting time for me, and I'm going to tell you why. Because as many years as I've been on the air, I get cries for help, as you can imagine, a lot, right? And my DMs are full. People are struggling. Plus, I pay attention to what's going on with my audience. And so, and even people outside of my audience. And sometimes you just feel so helpless, right? Because there's so many needs to be met. And as I've been scrolling through Twitter lately, I've just noticed an increase, an uptick in need, if you will. And so I thought to myself, okay, after spending some time, up in the mountains by myself for about a week, hiking and doing all my outdoor stuff I love to do, I just really took some time to separate myself and consecrate myself unto the Lord for prayer time. And I'm not even finished with my whole spiel yet, and I'm already in tears because God is so good that song that we were just playing at the beginning was talking about the love of Jesus and how he never fails. And that is so true. And you know how he never fails? Because we show up. That's how he never fails. And whether any of us show up or not, if it, like he said, if it were needed to be, these rocks would cry out and worship me, right? Like he doesn't need us to perform his miracles and to be as big and awesome and giant as he is and capable, but he uses us, right? And so every one of you in this space today, sorry, this is so close to my heart because he's so good. And I talked to more people ready to end their lives in the past 6 months than I have in my entire ministry. And I'm really tired of that. And so when I took my time to separate myself from all of the craziness and the noise that goes on in Twitter particularly, I took the time to really take a look at my personal gift set. And what does that look like? What makes me happy? What gets me out of bed in the morning? Because I can tell you now, it's not sitting on Twitter Spaces complaining about politics. That does not excite me. And as a content creator, if I'm not doing the will of my Father, nothing I say or do matters. Literally nothing. And some of you know what that feels like, to just get out of the bed and feel like you don't have a purpose at all. Right? And so in that consecration time, it was revealed to me very simple things about the gospel that we just miss about doing his will and helping people. And one of my spiritual gifts is helps, and I know that. And I do it, and I do it really well. I love promoting people. I love helping people. I love bringing people to my table. I love feeding people, clothing people, all kinds of people. I don't care what you believe. I don't care what your sexual persuasion is, who you're worshiping or who you're having sex with or who you vote for. I don't care about any of that. I'm not called to care about any of that outside of ministering to your immediate needs, practical needs, and sharing the gospel of Christ with you. That is my mandate as a Christian. That's it. It's so simple that we miss it. And so I see so many people fighting on Twitter about faith and God and Jesus and Allah, and it's crazy. In the meantime, the people we're going to honor today have very real struggles, and they represent hundreds of people who wanted to be here today and have an opportunity to share with us in this moment. And I just couldn't get to all of them, but we're going to, because this is just the beginning of what my ministry, which is Thirst Ministries, which is predicated upon Isaiah 55. And I'm going to read that to you guys. This is just the beginning of our work in this area. So I am so pumped. Like, I've been coming out of my skin. I couldn't even wait to send the letters to the people who were, I'm not going to say chosen, because we prayerfully deliberated over who to bring forward this first go round. And the 5 people who are being honored here today is because me, along with a panel of people who are part of my fellowship, some advisors, we got together, went through all of the stories, and decided this is it. This is what we're going with. This is who we're going to honor this week. And by honoring them, we're honoring our Creator. And by you simply being here, you're doing the same thing. So please retweet the space. Please consider, as you're listening to people's testimonies today and their needs, please consider how you can help them even outside of the realm of finances. Okay? Many of you own businesses, you have talents, you have contacts, you have ideas, you have just a plethora of resources at your fingertips that don't always include money. And so please don't think that you have to make a donation today. But if you're capable of even making a $20 donation to these people today individually, please take that into consideration, because these stories that we're about to share with you could be you. For some of you, it has been you. I know for me, I see myself in a lot of these stories. That's another reason why I'm crying, because He is so faithful. And because people in their generosity is literally the only reason I'm able to sit here today and do what I do. The only reason. And so generosity matters. And in a time when we're being squeezed against each other and pressed against each other for socio-political, geopolitical reasons, this is really how we save our country. This is where it starts. It starts by seeing each other as human beings again, irrespective of political party lines, and really being there for each other in a time of need to get each other back up on our feet so that we can coalesce and take our nation back. This is how it's going to be done. So again, I didn't care how they voted. Some people don't even live in this country that you're going to hear from today. I don't care what color you are, how tall you are, how skinny you are. None of that matters. None of it matters to me. So what matters to me is that we're doing the will of my Father. And so again, welcome to my co-host, Christopher, who is always my co-host, has been with me from the beginning of my spaces. Tinfoil, please follow these gentlemen. They're going to be handling hands and speakers and whatever craziness might occur in the space today, which, as you can already see, had even started our space and we'd already crashed. So there's no telling what can happen. If we crash again, please simply come back to @MonicaOnAirTalk, and we will pick up right where we left off and keep right on rolling, because we're not going to let the devil or Twitter devils stop us from raising this banner over these people today. Amen. Amen. All right. So I'm reading from Isaiah 55 in the New Living Translation, which I love. And this is the banner, really, in a nutshell. And I won't read the entire, no, I won't read the entire thing to you. But in a nutshell, this is the heart of Thirst Ministries, okay? And really the heart of my media company as well. But it's Isaiah 55 in the New Living Translation, and it reads, "Is anyone thirsty? Come and drink, even if you have no money. Come and take your choice of wine or milk. It's all free. Why do you spend your money on food that does not give you strength? And why pay for food that does you no good? Listen to me, and you will eat what is good, and you will enjoy the finest food. Come to me with your ears wide open. Listen, and you will find life. I will make an everlasting covenant with you. I will give you all of the unfailing love I promised to David. See how I used him to display my power among the peoples. I made him a leader among all nations. You will also command nations you do not know, and peoples unknown to you will come running and obey. So I don't know about people running to me and obey. That's not how I read that. But I read that as this. Many people feel like they have to have it all together. This is my altar call. Many of you feel like you have to have it together. You feel like you have to be sinless. You got to be perfect. The church sucks. Who knows? You know, some of you have major beefs with God, and rightfully so, because you've just had all kinds of wacky, crazy things happen to you throughout your life with regard to church. This right here today, folks, is church. This is it. Like, this is how it's supposed to be. This is us feeding each other. This is us clothing each other. This is us loving each other and being here for each other. We don't even know each other. I do not know these folks outside of Twitter. And so this is what the gospel is all about. For some reason, I'm having connection issues. Again, if I go away, stay put, I'll come back. If the whole space crashes again, I will still come back and I will restart it. For those of you, hey Maze, I see some of you with large followings. If you guys do not mind, please share this space. It's very important. I'm about to shut up in just a minute, and we're going to get to our special guests and our recipients for this go around. Again, this is just the beginning of what we're doing with Thirst Ministries, but I welcome you and I thank you for partnering. Ugh. I promise you I'm going to stop crying. But this is just so beautiful, and especially in Twitter. So praise the Lord. We actually have some positive, awesome things happening right here in the Twitter sphere, and I'm very grateful for that. So Christopher, welcome. If you'd like to welcome folks, and then we'll move over to 10 and we'll get rolling. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Monica. Yeah, this is a space, that's just very refreshing on a Sunday.
Did we lose Christopher?
He's speaking.
I can't hear him. So I'm going to bounce Christopher and come back in if you don't mind. 10, go ahead, hon.
Well, I'll start. I'll go over from Chris was speaking. This is a beautiful Sunday, as an opportunity to minister unto the hearts of people listening, and an opportunity to reach out in faith to the body of Christ. And that is a vast and understated opportunity that we have not had as a body as we should. So I really look forward to what we're going to be doing today, and helping out the people that really need the assistance. And these stories you're going to hear are amazing. So I'll leave it there.
Excellent. Thank you. And we're bringing Christopher back up. We'll see if he can't start rolling. And then I'm going to go to King. And if you're not familiar with King, you're about to get familiar with King. And he's awesome. And we love him. And I wanted him to come in today and tell us, the importance of giving. And we'll get to him in just a moment. Chris, can you go ahead? Let me see if I can hear you this time.
Can you hear me, Monica?
Yep, you're cool. Go for it.
Well, I am cool. My kids would, argue different, but I listen. It's Sunday. I just love spaces like this where there's no politics. It's all about giving and hearing raw testimony and just helping one another. I'm super excited about the space. I want to urge everybody in here to please retweet this space onto your feeds. Obviously, go to monicamatthews.com and sign up to follow for more spaces, and of course for her newsletter. And also go to the alphawarriorshow.tv. Make sure you subscribe, you follow his show, and subscribe. You'll get other information and with his show as well. And thank him for live streaming this show. We also have some sponsors of this space, and so I want to give a quick shout out to those sponsors at His Glory, Pastor Dave, V4CR, Craig Sawyer, and the David Pollock Show. David was here. I don't know if he's having some issues there, but I'm going to thank them as well for supporting this space. And of course, if you would be so kind as to follow my co-host, the co-host over here, Tim Foyle, Tricorn, and of course myself. And I'm really excited, Monica, about this space. First of all, I've heard just amazing things about King and what he's doing for these boys, which I think is just it has to be done. People have to step up for these young men, and so I'm very excited about that. But then these 5 folks that I know are were really, quite frankly, prayerfully deliberated over. And so it's really cool to see all this come about. And folks, listen, I'm just going to make the ask here again. Even if it's $10 or $20 to these families each, or whatever you can give, is extremely helpful for every one of these families. You're going to hear some stories in the aftermath of COVID that, quite frankly, these are very real stories. And with the many people in this room, every little bit adds up. So please, when you hear these folks, consider going to their page. A lot of them have like a GoFundMe or a link to where you can support them. Please make sure you go do that. You follow them to hear their stories in the future, but more importantly, to give. So with that being said, Monica, I'm going to pass it over to you. Folks, we are going to do things a little bit different here this time around. We have King in this space. We have the some of these other folks who we'll be bringing up that are being featured. And we want them to hear the stories first, and then we will start to bring other people up, here later on in the space. We do have a limited time on this space, and with the tech issues, it's kind of cut it a little bit shorter. And so we are going to get forward with this. Monica, it's all yours.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. Okay, let's roll. So King. Okay, here's my backstory on King. Okay, so King Randall. All right, King is here in Georgia with me, and King is an amazing young man, former Marine, young, and making all kinds of differences in the lives of young Black children, Black boys to be more specific, pouring into the lives of little boys. And he's doing it basically through you all on Twitter and donations. And the second I saw what he was up to, and I saw the hell he was actually up against with some Twitter factions, I was like, this is someone I want to get behind. And anyone who's going to sacrifice his life to build a boys' school that is teaching these kids about trade and about how to actually do something with their lives and to live past 18 years of age and to have hope in their fellow, humankind. That is someone that I want to support. And so moving forward, Thirst Ministries is going to be supporting the efforts of King. And I look forward to talking more about, the camp that we're going to sponsor. And I'd love to be able to host his children for those summer camps and quarterly camps as well. So King, welcome. I wanted you to come up and just tell people about the importance of, being humble enough to actually ask for the help that you need, and just how helpful it has been, how encouraging some of the challenges that you've had. People went in and tore down your entire school, everything that you had raised money for. They went in and vandalized and tried to stop you and stop your progress. And you got on here, and you and Dom, crazy Dom, you guys just blew it out, man, and built the whole thing back in record time through the heart and the soul of other people who have been giving to you. So welcome. If you don't mind, just share a little bit about yourself, what you're up to, and the power of giving.
Sure. Can everybody hear me well?
We got you.
Awesome. Well, first off, my name is King Randall. I'm the founder of the Life Preparatory School for Boys in Albany, Georgia, also known as the X for Boys, which is our after-school program. I'm currently 24 years old. I just turned 24 on July the 26th. Just had a birthday. This particular program I began when I was 19 years old. I was a Marine at the time, and one of my classmates had got sentenced to 30 years in prison from high school. He got sentenced to 30 years in prison. And where I live in Albany, Georgia, we don't have any rehabilitative programs for juvenile offenders. No true change for our children. The only program that the court system has for our children is called functional family therapy, where they meet once a week for an hour for 3 months, and they spend $8,000 a year on that program to help those children. And it's all virtual, by the way. They don't actually meet them in person. And I'm asking them, I'm just like, well, how is this going to actually change our children? And so at that point, I told, a few people I was going to start working with children. I started out doing field trips with young men. Mind you, I didn't have any money at the time. I started out doing field trips. I was actually cutting hair and fixing cars and driving forklifts trying to make the money to take these children on field trips. I've never charged for anything that I do. I always have wanted to make sure that the children who can't afford it get it, and those children who can't afford it need it the most. And I'm sorry, after I did our first field trip on January 19, 2019, to see all those young men asking the questions that they were asking, to see them like into the different museums and different things like that, I could tell those children didn't want to be in the condition that they were in. And that's where I decided to continue. And after that, I did an oil change workshop at my uncle's house. We used his garage. We taught 20 boys how to change oil. We used about 3 or 4 cars and had a couple different instructors. And after that workshop, I gave all the boys certificates for learning how to change oil. And to get some of those moms calling me and saying, that their children who people don't realize that a lot of children, you got those regular kids who are not academically or athletically inclined. So they're kind of just existing. So for them to get a certificate, to be able to put on the wall and to say, I learned how to do something, it built confidence in them. And a lot of times people don't understand that boys need confidence to be able to thrive. And they're not confident because they don't feel like they're capable of anything, which in turn turns into being depressed or what have you. And then things happening, not being able to control themselves, etc., because they don't have any true mentorship. And they go searching to the streets or somewhere else, trying to find some confidence and some swagger, I guess you would call it. But to teach those kids how to do that, then immediately after that, I taught them how to change brakes at another workshop. And while I was driving a forklift at the time, I had just had my first son, Baby King, on January 28th, which was about 9 days after our first field trip. I was driving a forklift, and I was married at the time, and I was working one day at the graveyard shift, actually. And when I was working at the forklift warehouse, and we were just doing stuff, we would have our little times where we would go to sleep. And this particular day, I had been working there for a couple months already. And this particular day, I went to sleep, and they swore they tried to come wake me up and all this nonsense. And anyway, they fired me. And so I took that as a push from God to go ahead and start what I was supposed to be doing with the young men. I immediately started my summer camp. After that, my younger brother and I, he's 17 right now, but at the time he was younger. But we would go out and we would fix cars all day and night. We would be working on people's houses. I would cut hair. I learned how to cut hair. Like, I was doing so much at one time, but I was being able to afford all of my bills, take care of my family, etc. Because I was working with my hands. And many of these things I learned how to do growing up because I was raising a full family. So I started teaching these kids how to work on cars and work on houses. And I started that summer camp in my dining room. That dining room of mine, I actually got some tables that somebody donated to me. And I put those tables in my dining room, and I had this little small dry erase board I bought from Staples, and I would teach and, teach the boys how to read and doing math and teaching them about finances, history, whatever I could, because those kids needed it. And to see so many children not being able to read was a problem for me. These children are in different grades, all in the school system, in the public school system, and they are in 6th grade, 12th grade, 9th grade, 11th grade, and they can't read or write, like, at all. And I'm just like, how is this happening? How exactly are you at school and you don't know how to read and write? Like, there's no way you're able to pass the test and you can't read cat dog. And I mean, it's absolutely insane. But these children are being passed through school and they're graduating and they're not able to, be functional in society because they don't know anything for real. And that's why I told those students, I told them I didn't know how I was going to do it and didn't know I was going to get the money from, but I was going to open them a school one day. And that's where the idea came from. I wasn't on social media at the time. I wasn't posting any of these things. I was just doing it. And, a friend of mine, reached out to me. He was like, look, man, he was like, I understand you're not doing the social media, but you have to post on socials because people need to know what you're doing. I started posting on socials, and maybe after about a year of posting on socials, President Trump invited us to the White House out of nowhere from seeing something we had on Twitter. And he invited me and 10 of my students. Those my students, that was their first flight anywhere. They got a chance to go to the White House, see the president, even though he got diagnosed with COVID at the time when we went. It was a beautiful experience for us, and just to see just the love that we were receiving, the outpouring of just support that we got from people just giving. We've been able to just buy land. We've been able to take care of those students. Like, all of it just from people giving. Like I hadn't had any government funds. I haven't had any grants. None of that stuff. It's all from people just giving. And people love to give to us because they always see what's happening. I post everything. I post receipts if I have to. I post everything so people can see what's going on. And people also want to feel a part of it. So even with our Amazon wish list, etc., people feel a part of what's happening because, oh yeah, I donated that water fountain right there. Or I donated those lights, because people get to see videos and pictures and everything. Because one thing I don't like about mainstream nonprofits is that you don't never know what's happening aside from the commercials that are on TV. You never know where your dollar's going. And usually it's only 10 cents of it going to the project and 90 cents going to salaries. But, that's another conversation, for another day. But after I started raising money there, fast forward, I'm not going to get all the way into it. We tried to buy a school from our local school system that they had up for demolition. That deal fell through. And we eventually ended up buying a church that had a school attached to it. It was a 41,000 square foot facility, 25 classrooms, basketball gym, cafeteria, library, sanctuary, the whole nine, everything that we needed for our school. And we purchased that. We have 3 small office buildings on our south side of town where we do free breakfast. We give away free breakfast to the community. Usually around the cooler months, we do free breakfast, especially after school started back up and those parents are working and those kids are hungry, on the weekends and stuff like that. So we try to make sure we feed those kids in this neighborhood. But we've accomplished a lot, and just to have so many people give, like we've been able to make this whole function happen off of people just giving. And of course, right now we're trying to get ready to open up our own businesses to be able to have some sustained funding. So that way I don't have to, just live on social media all the time and continue posting, because I want to be able to get us to expand. We don't want to survive. We want to thrive. And Ms. Monica, I'll actually tell you about a project that we're working on offline. I can't say much about right now, but it's a really big project for our school, and it's gonna be amazing, and people are gonna be shocked at what happens in the next coming months as I start rolling out a few things for our school. But that's I guess sort of brief introduction about who I am and what I do.
I love it. Thank you so much. You guys give him some 100s in the space, or hand claps or hearts or something. Show him some love. I love it. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so grateful for you because I know that you're pouring into our next generation. And, I'm surrounded by political people who think that the whole kids, all the children have just gone to hell in a handbasket. So it's nice to know that someone's actually taking the time to pour into the next generation to this extent. Yeah, absolutely. Keep me informed as to what's going on and how I can help you. I love to amplify, your voice and your efforts. And I'm just very grateful to God, for your tenacity. I love how people have rallied around you. I did not know y'all went all the way up to the White House, though. I'm not sure how I missed that. So that's awesome. And congratulations. And yeah, I look forward to coming down and seeing what you guys have got going on personally. And then, partnering up on some initiatives to, for some fun time for these kids too. So super excited. Thank you so much for taking the time out on a Sunday to come and, pour into us and amplify what's up. Thank you for showing people, how it's done, that when you're doing the Lord's work and people listen, you guys about to speak. I know some of y'all are so nervous. I can hear your butterflies in your stomach from here, because people would rather be run over by an elephant than have to speak in public spaces. So I know how you guys feel, but just take a breath. Everybody breathe in. Everybody exhale. Okay. You being in here today, I hope he just encouraged you and inspired you, because you being in here today and asking for help is such a posture of humility that it is impossible for our Father not to honor that, because he honors humility. Absolutely. 1000%. So please get used to being okay, not only asking for the help, but receiving. Otherwise, you end up robbing people of the ability, to be a blessing to you. And in turn, that becomes a blessing for them. So you guys, please follow King in his efforts. If some of you actually give, a set amount per month. I'm a huge proponent of tithing. I'm all about some Malachi. As a widow of 24 years, I have seen the power and the precept of tithing absolutely work in my life, even when I didn't have but one nickel.
Miss Monica, if I can
Yes.
speak on just that piece about being about
Yeah.
asking, because that's the point of the space. Well, my part was about talking about giving. There was a long time where I battled with just being afraid to ask people for funds or just ask people for things to help our students. There was a long time, where I was afraid and didn't want to say anything. And I felt like if I was posting, then I wasn't doing it, for the right reasons. All the stuff that people say about you because you post online, people have been inspired all over the world because of our work. And we've been viral before, etc. I mean, uber viral, like not just like nationwide. We were like internationally viral at one point, to the point where I was on news in Spain and everything. And we've inspired so many people around the world. Like I've had email after email after email, like hundreds of emails of guys saying, yeah, I started this in my community, guys sending me pictures of stuff that they're doing in their community because they were inspired by me, etc. And then for people to just give, it got to a point where I didn't even have to ask often anymore. Like it was just because I was showing people what we were doing and people were being inspired. People just started giving because of that's how God works. And usually, if you're giving, we had this song we were saying when I was like 8 or 9, when I was playing the drums at this Baptist church. They always sung this song during offering calls. You can't beat God giving. And so for me, it's like getting in a competition with God, trying to see who could give the most, because God's going to always win. But if you continue giving, God's going to provide for you and give you what you need. And every time something bad happens or we get down on funds or whatever like that, I usually know that God's about to do something special. It always happens that way, whether something super bad happens, even when somebody came and vandalized our school building and destroyed so many things. I just knew something great was about to happen after that. Like I couldn't even just get super angry about it. Like I was just like, I know God has something in store because I have to help these children, and He wants me to help these children. So I know something good is going to come on the back end, and that's why our next project we're about to roll out is about to be epic. But that's how the law of giving works. The more you give, the more you'll get back. And even when you get back, you want to give some more. And when you get back, you want to give some more. And continue opening your mouth. People are going to give what you ask for. And Pastor Corey Brooks in Chicago, has made me a believer in that. Pastor Brooks raised like $30 million, like, and within the span of a year. Because he was raising the money and he just believed that he could, instead of having these little baby goals that we have. We have a big God. Why do we have baby goals? So we have to set big goals and ask for big money and make it happen. So you have to put in the work for those things, but definitely ask. Open your mouth, say what it is that you need. You never know who's listening. And it can always be one person. Like, people think it's about how many followers you have. No. Who's active? Because somebody can have 1 million followers, but nobody's giving and nobody's supporting. And they can just have 1 million followers and people looking. But if I have 20,000 great people who are supporting what we're doing, then that's important. It only takes one person to change your life or change the outlook of your program or what have you. You have to stay steadfast in that and realize you never know who's watching. Even the other day, an NBA player reached out to me and we talked on a video chat for maybe like 2 hours. He was like, King, I've been watching you for about 2 years. He's probably one of the more mainstream NBA players. He's like, I've been watching you for 2 years. He's like, I just followed you the other day, but he's like, I've been watching you the whole time just to see if you were going to be consistent. So sometimes you're going to have those times where you're feeling down and don't want to do it, and things are not going like they should, but got to keep pushing, because God gives you tests, and you have to pass the test in order for you to keep to move forward. So I just wanted to give that little testimony in regard to asking for people to give and giving yourself, because you have to give a lot still, even doing whatever work that you're doing. And I think that was just important for me to be able to say.
Amen. Thank you for that. That is very important for you to say. For those of you in the mic queue, we're doing things a little different this space. I'm about to start rolling through our honored recipients today, and then we're going to open the mics for Q&A. If you have anyone that you'd like to ask a question of, I do want to say this. I'll be honest with you. I until we looked across the board, there's only one recipient today that's not COVID related. I wasn't looking for COVID related specifically. My call for those of you who need help was simply medical loss of income, job, medical issues, but it didn't necessarily have to be around COVID. And we got a lot of requests for legal assistance, whether people are combating the United States government right now for a myriad of reasons, or people have custody issues. And some of you know how that goes. That can be very expensive. And so we actually, okay, excellent. Thank you, Alpha. We actually have someone in the space who's about to tell us our first recipient, and then Alpha, we can go to JD's cut right after we finish with bringing Ava home is going to be our first recipient. So again, for those of you who are just joining the space, thank you so much for being here. This is our very first basically benevolent Twitter space that I'm hosting through on behalf of my ministry, which is Thirst Ministries. We are a marketplace ministry. We're an LLC. I'm not hiding behind anybody's 501c3s. No offense to those of you who have C3s, but as far as the gospel goes, I'm not trying to have the government tell me what I can and can't say. So we are an LLC, and all of this money today, by the way, is going directly to the people in need. That's why you have their links. If you go to Alpha's Rumble, or it should be right there on my Twitter feed as well, you will have links directly to each person you're about to hear from. And I'm hoping you all will give to all of them. But if there's one story that just grabs your heart more than another, and you're like, that's it, that is exactly who I'm supposed to give to, then go for it. Okay. But it's going directly into their accounts. None of this is coming through my ministry at all. And even the sponsors that we have, those two are going directly to our recipients today for those who are actually giving money in that way. And moving forward, for those of you who do have businesses or ministries or things that you would like to promote, we will be offering a tiered sponsorship approach. And we're going to do this once a month, is what's on our schedule for right now. And we're probably still going to keep it between 3 and 5 people, which is hard because, as you can imagine, my inbox is full. And so my heart is full, and I wish I could just open the floodgates to make it happen for everyone, but it's okay. Everything, God makes all things beautiful in their time. I love that scripture because it is absolutely true. And some of you really need to hear that, because you're looking at your lives and you're like, there is nothing beautiful about what COVID did to my life, Monica. I mean, I'm looking at Sean. I promise I'm not going to cry the whole time. But, I'm looking at my brother in Canada who lost his son to COVID. And I'm going to let him tell the story because I won't be able to get through it in one piece because it's so bad. And from being vaccinated, and that was actually proven by one of our doctors in the United States. And so we're going to let him tell his unbelievable story. Miss Moneypenny, she too she is a victim of being vax injured. Okay, again, these are, I wasn't looking specifically for COVID, but I want you all to hunker down and to prepare your. Yeah.
So I'm not vaxxed. I wasn't vaccinated.
Okay.
I'm long COVID.
Long COVID. Okay, thank you so much. My apologies. I've got another recipient for next go around who is absolutely vax injured, and she has kind of the same symptoms as you. So that's what made me think of it. My apologies. So long COVID is knocking a lot of people out in our Twitter groups, to be honest with you. So it is quite harrowing. But you got to prepare your heart for your hearts for what's coming. Because I believe we're just at the beginning of this tidal wave of repercussions of COVID. And we all knew the fallout was coming. We just didn't know what it was going to look like. Okay. And another reason why I'm hosting these spaces is simply this. The word says that in the latter days, men's hearts will fail them for fear. Okay. And for the fear and the terror that will come upon the land. But also, men's hearts will wax cold because of lawlessness. And if there's one thing the entire world can agree upon around COVID, is that right there is complete and total lawlessness. What we saw unleashed on the world was lawlessness. And once we were pitted against each other over things like masks or vaccinated or not vaccinated, we developed a whole other level of society that I don't think I ever thought I was going to see in my lifetime. Fighting over politics is one thing. Fighting over masks and whether or not one person should die over another because they are in fear that you're putting their entire, community in jeopardy. You being locked down, your businesses being crushed, you're forced into bankruptcy, your children being murdered. I mean, it is a disaster, and that's lawlessness. And so my biggest concern is that our hearts don't grow, they don't wax cold. Because once your heart waxes cold, your country is ripe for being taken over. And that's what's happening across the globe. So again, I commend you all for being here today. My intentions are totally pure, and I'm just so pleased that you're here. And King, thank you for kicking us off. That was awesome. And Penny, again, thank you for setting me straight. Again, my brain is like, I'm mixing all of my stories, but I want to begin with our first recipient, which is a harrowing story for those of you who have struggled with custody issues. I'm part of a back channel group with Laura Logan and some folks who deal with people who have to deal with child custody, protective services, whatever, which is mainly, I think you could refer to that effectively as child trafficking services, because as we know, that's what's happening to our children through a lot of these, quote, services that our taxes pay for. And more, we even have someone right here who's part of my family in this Twitter space who has had to contend with this with his own child with regard to parent alienation lies. I mean, just crazy stuff, right? The enemy just heaves on people at his most opportune moment. And so this story really just, it pulled our hearts out of our chest to read this story. And for those of you, again, who are watching on Rumble, we're talking about the story of reuniting father and daughter help bring Ava home. So again, if you're in the space and you want to go over there and click on the link to GoFundMe, you can see the entire story. But I believe I have Cynthia with us today to represent what's going on with that campaign. Is that accurate?
Yes, Monica, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Please, you've got the mic. Go for it. Tell us what's going on. How can we bless you? And thank you so much for having the courage to be here today.
Well, you're an amazing woman, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity. King, I've heard of you before. I don't know how or when, and I really appreciate what you do and what you were saying about the GoFundMe. I wrote mine a while ago, and I never shared it because I didn't have a reach, and I didn't think anybody would hear me. And I also want to say to Answers for Sean and Kim, I know your stories and I love you. Really, my heart goes out. I want to pray for the people of Maui also, because I can't imagine running into the ocean to save your life. That's insane what they're going through right now. I have a very crazy story. There's a lot of moving parts. Some of you may have heard it before. I have notes, and I'm going to keep to the facts. There's a lot going on with what's going on in our story. I just wanted to say something that I've never said before in the spaces, or actually in these public spaces like this. So in 2003, I lost my husband. He died. My son was 11 years old. I was an only parent, and I went to Charlotte, North Carolina, and I raised my kids there. I didn't want to do it in Florida. I thought I would lose them to all sorts of things. And I decided to go up there and raise them. And it worked out well. My daughter went to college and my son went into the Air Force and became air traffic control. He was trained in Biloxi, and he ended up in Altus, Oklahoma, where he met and married a girl. And she had 2 kids from a prior relationship, which he felt like he would be a good person for that because all he wanted was a family. The fathers of those 2 kids were incarcerated, but he was going to be the one that was going to save the day. And I find that gallant and on his part. He may be in the space. He's not a Twitter guy, but he knows what's going on right now. So he may be speaking. And also I see Sylvia Beachy here, who has been a rock for me. And I'm so glad that you're with me right now because I could easily lose this. So he married a girl there, and they had a baby, and they got divorced in 2017. It was a divorce where he had standard parental shared rights. He never lost his parental rights. And because he was trained in air traffic control, he wasn't going to make any money in Oklahoma. And with the blessing of his attorney, they said, go back to Miami, and you could have long distance shared custody and go make your money as ATC. So he left and he went back to Florida. Well, this is going to be a very bad situation to come because what happens between the states is really horrific. So he was having his visitation like he should have, and then Biomom remarried a guy, and he's a 9-year felon. And everything I'm going to tell you guys, I have receipts for everything. Monica, I'm happy to share everything with you, or even put some things in the bubble, but I just have to respect and not put the kids' names down. So I blacked them out, but I have everything I'm going to say I have receipts for. And so she remarried, and then all of a sudden communication stopped. And we got really worried. And this is by November going into January 2020. And all communication stopped. And I was getting very worried. And I said, this guy's a felon. We don't know where your daughter is. We need to hire a private investigator. So I hired a private investigator by April 2020 because there were no planes flying to Oklahoma. There were no courts open. We couldn't do anything to get communication with them. And she was missing. Private investigator finally found her, and we realized that she was still alive. But that actually happened, that we thought that maybe something happened with this person. And I will give you the information about who this person is. He did 9 years in jail for trafficking marijuana. He was found with 142 pounds of marijuana in his family wall that he buried in his wall, and all sorts of gun charges. It was the ATC that arrested him, and this is the person that is living in the house today. So fast forward to March 31st, 2022, there was an incident that happened in the house. Domestic violence, fentanyl and heroin were found, and there was no arrest record. 4 days later, on April 4th, 2022, a neighbor called and reported the children to CPS, and CPS came and took the kids. Now, CPS never called my son. They said that they had no contact information for him. He never changed his phone number from the Oklahoma number that he had, and he also pays child support on the portal, and if nothing else, they had his email. But they never contacted him. What does this mean? This means that at the time of the hearing, he wasn't present, and he lost his parental rights. So when he lost his parental rights, by the way, it was Biomom who said, do not contact my third child's father, which happens to be the only father that wasn't in jail at the time. And it's in the paperwork. I could give that to you, and you could see where they abided by it. So this is the first violation that I found with CPS, where they did not reach out, and therefore he missed the initial hearing. Now my granddaughter's made award at the state. They also filed neglect charges on my son, saying that he wasn't available. When I showed the information that there was a PI that was hired to find my granddaughter, they dropped the charges because why? I had the facts. And it's just crazy that they would even do that. But so we fast forward to a couple of court dates. Meanwhile, the whole time that Mom was going into court, she had a warrant out for her arrest for battery of a police officer. And it was paid on August 17th, the day before that we were going into the August 18th court date. On the August 18th court date, the judge had said previously that the child needs to be reunited with the father. He wants to make sure that the child knows the father, and that he needs a letter from a therapist. Well, we had flown in on the 16th from Miami. I just had back surgery. We fly in and we land in Oklahoma City, drive all the way out to Altus, have the meeting with the therapist, and it is a great meeting. My granddaughter is saying, Daddy's really here. They're hugging. They had a great meeting. The therapist says, please, reunite this child with her father. And I have the document. I could show it to you. And we're so happy. We're going up to the judge, and he says, yeah, well, I don't know if this is going to be enough. And out of the back of the room, the GAL stands up and says, I think that the father should travel out here 2 times a month and have sleepovers with his daughter. And I was like, what does that mean? You said that we needed a letter that she was in knowing her father, and we got that to you. It was almost like going to the great powerful Oz and realizing that, they wanted something else. They moved the goalposts. They changed it up again. So then so we did not bring her home. We thought we were going to bring her home at that point. And remember, Mom is on fentanyl. There are drug problems here. She even has on her caseload that she's breastfeeding her new infant and she's on fentanyl. So we go to the November court date. Tickets for November, they were $940 a piece. And everybody's like saying, he should be out there all the time. Well, who could afford $940 to go out there? And you have all these expenses and they financially want to break you with everything. This is what they're doing. So we go out on the 11/17 court date, and there are urinalysis tests that says that mom has fentanyl. And the judge literally said to her, "Mom, you have to do better." And I said, "Well, what does that even mean?" She said that she was cleaning a house and she came in contact with it, and that he heard such a thing. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, don't they can't even use drug dogs because the dogs would drop dead if they smelled something like that. What are you talking about? Meanwhile, we have urinalysis that she was on alcohol and fentanyl. By the way, I just want to back up for a minute. The children were placed in her brother's home, and the brother was a felon. When we found out where the children were being placed, our attorney put in a file saying that the brother is a felon and that he actually bit somebody's face off, and the children should never be there. Long story short, there was a huge fight that occurred, and then the children were moved to a secondary foster care placement. Why they would not give the child to me, the grandmother, I couldn't figure out. So in the November court date, when we were there, the DA was there, and she made a comment and threw a pen at me because one of the things that was happening was none of these other fathers were in the courtroom. Only my son was showing up. And the two other fathers were incarcerated. And then the father that did this, the last married father, the felon, was in jail. So only my son is showing up in the courtroom. And I told the CPS supervisor, I said, this does not look good. And then when the judge was there, he said, wait a minute, did this father get charged with anything? And I said, the answer is no, he didn't get charged with anything. And the DA, while she was flipping through her paperwork like she didn't know, got so mad at me saying that, she threw a pen at me. And I realized while I was there, I need to think on my feet and say, it's being recorded, not video, but audio. And I was like, why are you throwing things at me? They ended the court date, and we did not go home with my granddaughter. We had to hire another lawyer. This is the fourth lawyer by now. We hired another lawyer, and he said that he was going to file paperwork that shows that he was improperly served from the beginning. And we were like, great. He never filed that paperwork. However, he did get it to the point where we could bring her home on spring break, which was highly expensive. I'm talking thousands of dollars to make this specific time frame happen. Spring break is expensive. Everybody knows that. So we had to fly out there, bring her back, fly back, all of this other stuff. So while she was out here, my son's on the plane with her, and she wets herself on the plane. And we've been with her before, and I have pictures. I'll show you pictures of when he's with her. Why is she wetting herself on the plane? Well, she was moved to this new foster care place. Now we have to find out what's going on over there. So she comes to the house, and this is the first time that she's meeting my mother, who's 80 years old, by the way. In 6 years, my mother has never met her great-granddaughter, her first great-granddaughter. This is like, talk about breaking down family heritage and all this other stuff. What the courts are doing in CPS is horrible. So my son says, I'm not sending her back. She's being abused. Something's going on. And she ends up disclosing that the 11-year-old in the new foster care family is abusing her. He's like, she is not going back. I never lost my parental rights. I am her father. This is not going to happen like this. And it came down to, and Sylvia, thank you for being with me during this whole time. It came down to 5 police officers forcibly removing her, and the CPS worker coming out to his home and taking my granddaughter back. She didn't even know this person. She knew the person that worked below this woman, but she had to get on a plane with a perfect stranger. She was traumatized and shaking. And we had to give her, I told her, make sure that she's, if they had been to the park or whatever, I said, make sure she gets in the shower so that I don't say that, she's dirty. So we were cleaning her up, and 5 cops are there. My mother is watching this whole thing saying, what the hell is this? Like, we thought this is crazy. After it was all said and done and she left, my mom's like, we fight to the death for this because this is insane. This is not the America I grew up in. You got to know, my mom's a really elegant person. She, for a long time, she did a lot of fundraisers to help handicapped adults learn job skills. And she did really good things and raised a lot of money for a lot of people. And, her father was big Air Force. Like, and it was just, she's like, what's happening to this world watching this happen? So I feel like I just got sidetracked.
You're okay. Take a breath.
Okay.
It's okay.
So
You know, it's okay. Breathe.
while
Wait, no, really. Take a breath. Like, let's count to 5. Like, just breathe because it's a lot.
Thank you.
And it's very emotional. You're welcome. And I do want to get to, because you are cueing me about things to have in place moving forward. And since we do have a lot of legal cases that have come our way that need legal assistance with fees, I'm going to start enlisting my attorney friends that I have en masse, and I'm going to start asking that they either attend the spaces to listen, or I will be happy to send over audio clips of what's going on in here. A lot of these people have hearts of gold, and they actually want to assist in things of this nature. And then, again, I'm part of a small DM group. Well, actually, it's kind of large with very influential people who have the ability to move some things around the board. So I do want to get to this particular attorney that you guys are hoping to enlist, and what that, where you are financially and what it is that you need moving forward, so we can get this baby back home with her daddy.
Thank you, Monica. And that's so important. Okay. So while she was here, I go and I search if there's any new charges on Biomom and new husband, and sure enough, there was a repossessed trailer that came up. So my son had said to his daughter, "Hey, we Googled the VIN to see what it looked like, and it's a fifth wheeler." And he said, "Hey, did you ever live in something like this?" And she said, "Yes." And he goes, "When?" And she said, "When I wasn't supposed to be with mommy." So when they had the new foster care, who was our friend, right? They parked the fifth wheeler in her driveway, and Biomom was there with her children while they were supposed to be out of her custody, and they were accepting the checks from the foster care system. So if that's not money laundering, I don't know what is. Like, I have receipts on this. I called the attorney on the repossessed trailer, and I told him where it was located, and I said, you're looking in the wrong city. It's not in Oklahoma City or Yukon. It is in Altus, Oklahoma. Good luck with that. I hope you've filed to the fullest extent of the law. But this is what they were doing. And the CPS worker knows this. Now, why does the CPS worker look over the fact that that there's fentanyl? Why do they look over all this stuff? They brush over everything. There's a bigger problem with all of this. Not only that, but one of the letters that came out, it was the August court date that came out, saying that the older sister, who is now, I think, like 12 years old, she was saying that the new husband is hitting my granddaughter. So my son filed child abuse charges, and they dismissed it. Like, any avenue that he goes down to do anything, they just dismiss it, and they always say, well, you know what, it's too bad. Actually, it's too bad that you're in Florida. And that's one of the things that DA said to me when I was standing there, when she threw the pen at me. She said, why can't you live in Canadian County? And that's when I put it together. Oh my God, it's all about the money, because you are giving my granddaughter to somebody in Canadian County, but if she comes to Florida, you don't get the money anymore. And this is when it clicked for me. So now fast forward to what's going on. We had a court date on August 8th, and the attorney that we have is an attorney that ran against the juvenile court judge, and she lost. However, because she ran against that judge, it was a conflict of interest, and we were actually able to get that judge removed, which is huge. So now we're back in district court, and I don't even know what that looks like, because it's a juvenile CPS case that's going in front of a district court judge now, but it's still a family court case. So now it's like this milky place that we're in. And now, because of what happened in Florida, and he did not want to return his daughter, which he never lost parental rights and from the beginning, but for when they didn't notify him. Now they're trying to take away his parental rights, and that hearing is for December 4th. So the new attorney that we're working with, the one that is in the GoFundMe, wants $60,000. That we have already paid out. I can't even tell you how much money has gone out the door. It's well over $50,000. Before we went to the August court date, we got a note from the attorney that we were working with then. She said, well, court's next week. I hope you have your plane tickets. And by the way, we need $7,000 or else we're not going to represent you. And I was like, well, I don't know. Where did this come from? You couldn't give me like a 2-week notice. You're telling me 5 business days before the court date, you need $7,000. So nobody had it. And I called my daughter, and my daughter had some money, and I said, can you help? And she put up $4,000, and they were able to represent my son back then. But meanwhile, now I owe my daughter back $4,000, and you know, she doesn't have it. Like, our whole family is destroyed. My mom gave whatever she had after watching when they took my granddaughter out of the house. She sold whatever money she had laid away for her retirement, and basically now she's home drinking vodka and club sodas. I mean, it's just, everybody's life has been destroyed by this. It's unbelievable. The money is gone. They milk you dry. We put out all of this money previously, and now they want 60 grand. That's extortion. I don't know what to think about this attorney. She was supposed to be the one that was going to help us, and also because she was recognizing what was going on, and that Oklahoma has 4 bases. And she was saying that all of these fathers, there's even a Facebook page about Fathers Against Oklahoma Rights or something like that. I'm not on Facebook, but I heard that from the bartender at the airport in Oklahoma, and that there's such a big problem there that she was going to put out a class action lawsuit. Well, I mean, are we supposed to, if you're starting with us, are we supposed to pay for the class action lawsuit? Like, what's going on there? And by the way, the entire district court in El Reno County, Oklahoma, has a lawsuit against them for excessive bonds from the ACLU. So this place is ripe with corruption, and nobody will help me. I tried contacting people in Florida because I'm a Florida resident. So is my son. He lives 5 minutes away from me. He might even be on this call right now. But I called Mike Caruso, my representative, who was responsive to me. And he said that he would bring a packet to Ashley Moody, that he was going up to legislature and he was going to see her. Well, they couldn't track down the package. I think that he did the right thing and that he did do that. But Ashley Moody's office never found it. And by the time I tried calling and tracking it down, I was told by Ashley Moody's office never to call that office again, that my issue was in Oklahoma. But Oklahoma tells us that we are not Oklahoma residents. And Florida says, well, now it's in the court up there that it's in Oklahoma, not here. So we're caught between this rock and hard place where there are no rights. And my granddaughter she just turned 7, and she now is going to be in a foster care situation. Why can't she be with my family? Why can't she be with us?
Sure. Okay. There are several people in this space going through something not quite as harrowing, but it's still very destructive nevertheless. And it sounds like, it sounds like there's a few things going on. Okay. And so to kind of bring it in, first of all, class action stuff and all that, that's a much bigger problem and a much bigger elephant to eat. But the immediate goal is to get this child into her father's care. So, Ten, do you want to speak to any of this in the court systems that she's dealing with and maybe navigating, or how she can navigate? And then let's kind of hone in on, I know you have, I don't know if it says here that you have outstanding bills and then you need to be able to move forward. So I need you to rein in what the exact financial need is, because my wheels are already turning with regard to who I can put you in touch with on the legal front. But where you are right now financially is, and what your needs are specifically, rein in on that. But Tim, did you have anything that you wanted to add, or Christopher?
Well, I just wanted to add, these cases are extremely complicated, and the process that is required is far beyond any pro se litigant. So some people say, well, you can do things on your own. Well, maybe in a trial court with a jury, you might get away with that. But there's a lot of tricks involved, and then it gets even more muddied in the water when you start dealing with CPS or any kind of child protective service organization or agency being involved in any way or capacity. Because sometimes it seems like their goal isn't actually to resolve any conflicts or look at the best interest, but find a way to get into the system, your family's argument, and make money off of it. all the legal counsel I've ever had is say, unless there is genuine, serious levels of harm, then you do not want CPS involved. You just don't want to engage them or get them involved. You want to take this through psychologists and through the judge and through the court. You do not want to get involved with these entities because they don't actually follow the law quite often too. Like there's been many instances. I've seen videos and other sources where CPS comes to people's doors with a fraudulent order. It's not really a court order. It's just a piece of paper, and they have an officer there, but it's not enforceable. And if you don't know your rights, people let them into the house, and then they make anything up at that point. Like there could actually literally not be anything wrong, but they'll say there is because that then gives them the power to initiate something for which they will get paid. So yeah, I feel for you deeply, and it is a definite mire and a mess. And I really pray that you are able to find that connection that allows you to get this done. And $60,000 is extortion. At most, at the highest level for a 5-day trial, what I have been quoted is something like $35,000, and that's for a lawyer charging at $200 an hour. So $60,000 sounds like weeks of trial. And I would want that written out, how many days of trial and what the hourly rates are, if that's, even going to be a discussion.
Amen to that. So I see that there's a remaining balance of $17,000. So in your GoFundMe, you have a goal of $20,000. And then apparently these guys are trying to extort you, like he said, for $60,000. You also have, so there's a number of numbers that are in here. So do me a favor and, Cynthia, and let's rein in on, what, if you still have outstanding bills, and then moving forward, we can, I can navigate the possibility of, pointing you in the direction of some people who can actually get you out of this, this loop that you're in.
I appreciate that. Yeah, the outstanding bills would be like, I know it's 7,000 and then 24,000. Those are the outstanding right now. And then there is no per se invoice. It was an email. I tried calling the attorney on Friday to confirm what she was saying. There's no way that this is going to be a 5-day thing. And, I just heard 60,000 and I thought, this is insane. It's not right. And, it's a small town. They all know each other. There's so much going on there. One of the things that I want to mention also is that, so when you come up from the border from Texas, and, we all heard Tara Rodas talk about the kids that were coming up. She testified at Congress and said 85,000 children are missing. And then she walked away and nobody questioned her. I thought she was very gallant and champion of everything. And then nobody said anything. Like nobody said, can we find 2, 3, 4 of them? Nobody said anything. But the clearinghouse is Oklahoma City. This is the clearinghouse, and they go northeast, south, and west from Route 66. The clearinghouse is Oklahoma City. And one of the things that's happening is that this stepfather is down in Houston trafficking fentanyl and bringing it up to Oklahoma. And there is a question on whether or not the courts are being run by the gangs. So it is a huge thing to step in. And this is why they're holding on so much, because the money is so intense. And if anybody knows about how the money flows in CPS system, it goes from the Social Security into CPS. And it's even been documented that somehow those funds end up in the judge's retirement funds. And I have documentation of that too. I have a lot that I could send you, Monica, that I could prove everything of what I'm saying. It's hard to do one picture at a time, and I'm sure you don't want to do that now. I could email it to you, and you feel free to share it with anybody who asks about anything, because I'm happy to do that. To prove what I'm saying is not crazy town. Like, this is really happening, and they are keeping kids captive. And, my son served. My son was in the Air Force, but what they do is they make that a tick against you as you're going to be crazy because you served. You must have PTSD. And there's so many matrices behind everything. By the way, keep in mind that if a child has a diagnosis, you get more money in the foster care check. If the child is on medication, you get more money for that. If the child has sexual abuse, you get more money for that. So the goal is to traumatize these kids. I believe it's the new MK Ultra, and they are removing fathers from our family, whether it's the trans situation that's going on or something like this. They do not want the father in the family.
No, amen to that. We talked about that last night in another space I hosted. Okay, Cynthia, thank you for sharing all of that with us. You guys are going to be able to find the link to Cynthia not only on Alpha's Rumble channels, but mine as well, in our Twitter stream, all of our live streaming. But it's also going to be, hopefully, my co-host will get that up in the nest here shortly, please. Or down in the Purple Pill would be helpful. But you guys will be able to find her, Cynthia's Cry for Help there. Obviously, there's a lot going on. And so there's a lot of moving parts. And there are many of you in this space who know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. That's how this works. If I'm 1 degree separated from, a lot of very important people, I know you're probably 3 or 4. So put on your thinking caps, please. That's another reason why we're here. We're being very deliberate. We're not just sitting here listening to stories, feeling bad for ourselves. Like, this is a call to action. Okay. So whether you're cutting a check or you are making phone calls or you got your wheels are turning. Okay. You're in this space for a reason. Okay. So we're going to pray for you in this specific area before we move on to the next person. Okay. Father, thank you so much for this time to come together. I pray for a very special protection over this child, Ava. And I pray that you would send your holy angels down to fight on her behalf and to keep her safe. Father, I just submit this injustice to you in your heavenly courts. Oof. And I thank you that you, above all, have a heart for the babies. And so whatever abuse she has suffered, I know for a fact firsthand you can absolutely heal. And I pray that you would send your warring angels to stand guard over her and to fight on behalf of this family. I thank you for your tender mercies. I thank you for her great grandmama, and I pray that you would take that vodka soda out of her hands and give her restored hope and joy, Father. And that anywhere the enemy has stolen from this family, Father, I thank you that through their obedience and through their cries and through your never failing mercies. Every morning your mercies are new. I thank you, Father, that you release your justice into this situation and that this family will absolutely see mountains move. So we speak to the mountain of lawfare and we cast it into the sea of forgetfulness in the name of Yeshua. And I thank you, Father, that you bring people forward, that you deploy people and ignite people, Father, in their spirit by your spirit that don't even know this woman. They know nothing about this case, and they will literally come out of the woodwork because I know that's how you work and that's how you operate. So thank you for ingenuity and ideas and creative ideas, Father. And thank you for lawfulness. I pray for her father that you would undergird him with patience and that you would reward him for long suffering. And thank you for his service to this country. Whatever they have already poured out, Father, whatever's been stolen from them, I thank you it's returned 7-fold, if not 100-fold. Wherever the enemy has gotten in to try to destroy the generations of this family, I pray, Father, that you cover that child with the blood of your son from the crown of her head to the soles of her feet. In Yeshua's name I pray. Amen. You guys, I'm so glad I'm not on camera today because I'm a really funky looking crier. I'm just telling you, like, I look so ugly when I cry and y'all are just making me cry. So, but I'm very grateful because tears are so healthy, right? It reminds you that you're alive and that your compassion is intact. So, Cynthia, sister, thank you for being here. That's a lot. We're going to unpack it. This is not just one and done. Like I'm not just bringing you up here and amplifying your voice and your story. And then, that's it. You're on your own. So, I will remain in contact with you and we will continue to submit this to Father. And I am confident that he has a plan of deliverance through all of this. And I don't know what that's going to look like or when, but I know my Father's heart, and his heart is not for that child to remain as a ward of the state and as being, quote, trafficked by the entire judiciary, which is what's happening across the country. It's not just Oklahoma, but you're right. That is absolutely part of the finishing pipeline, which is another reason why I've partnered with Craig Sawyer and his organization, and Vets for Child Rescue, These guys are saving children, across the border, finding pedophiles here in this country, shining a light on wickedness. It's so wicked that I can't even talk about it on these airwaves. It involves satanic ritual abuse. It is unbelievable the things that are happening on this soil with regard to our babies. And so that's another reason why I partnered with him as well as His Glory. Please go follow those guys. They have 10 million people across the globe that tune into their program every day. Whenever Pastor Dave is on, they are doing a lot of the Lord's work. They're very tight with General Flynn, and some really great patriots and people doing great work, and moving the needle here in this country, not only for politics, but for faith as well. So we're very grateful for their partnership. They too are helping us, with this unbelievable epidemic we have called trafficking our children through the family courts. So Cynthia, thank you and God bless you. And please hang out in the space if you can. If not, you guys follow Cynthia. She is under hold on, where is she? The Lioness, the Luna Lioness. Please follow her and you can DM her directly or you can find her at the GoFundMe page. Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
Monica.
Alpha?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
You're
Cynthia,
welcome.
if you'll DM me the GoFundMe page link that you want us to post, send that to me.
That is actually on Alpha's page. If you all don't mind just popping over there and grabbing it. Thank you. It's on the deal that we're streaming right now. You can go to Rumble and pull it right off that page. Thanks, guys. Okay. Alpha, I know you've got someone you want to introduce. This is someone else who understands the power of help. Man, we got a lot going on. Thank you all for being here again. Please retweet this space. A lot of just awesome work. I can feel our Father moving. I feel the courts of heaven moving. Our courts here may be constipated and filled with crooks, but the courts of heaven don't ever sleep and they see everything. And He will absolutely exact justice in its exact proper time. Do not think otherwise. But many times He works through us to make that happen in a lawful way. And that's why we're here today, is to help our brothers and sisters who are in need with financial help over, COVID issues, financial bankruptcy, family court craziness, you name it. It's come my way in the past couple of weeks when I gave the call for who needs help. Right. And here we are. So thank you. You all are such a blessing for being here. And I pray that you are blessed abundantly for taking your Sunday to be here with us today. Alpha, do you want to introduce that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we have here is a gentleman by the name of Jesus Rivera. He's a veteran, also a January 6er, and him and his family's life was changed through crowdfunding. So he created a video clip for us. It's just over 2 minutes. So I'm going to play that now, and you guys can take a listen to it.
Am I missing it?
In the space.
Yeah. Am I missing it? Alpha, we don't have audio. You're on mute, Alpha.
Can you guys not hear it? All right.
We cannot.
Let me do it one more time.
Still not here.
Yeah, Alpha, I think you have to unmute yourself, honey. Alpha Warrior. Earth to
Yeah,
Alpha. No, babe, because your mic is muted.
It's muted in the StreamYard. Look, the video is not playing through into this space. So
Okay. Well, we can skip it, or you can just tell us, what he says, because I know you've seen it. But it had a profound impact on his family for sure. And the story you told me was harrowing. So if you just want to share it verbally, go for it.
yeah, absolutely. He's communicated to me anyway. So like I said, JD he's a J6er. He's a veteran, and he had to check himself into prison because he was found guilty on the January 6 allegations. And for 8 months, his family, his wife and kids were going to be on their own. And so there was a lot of stress that was behind them on how are they going to eat? How are they going to have how's the mortgage? All these bills are going to be paid. He had no idea how it was going to be done. So he asked, hey, I believe the original amount he was trying to raise was, I think, $12,000 or $10,000. So we brought him on a podcast similar to this one, and let the audience hear it. This man's plea for help for his family, and in under 30 hours, there was just over $20,000 that was raised to answer their prayers. This was life changing for him, and it allowed him to go into prison with the understanding of, I'm not going to lose my freedom. I'm going to be a missionary for God. And while he was in prison, since he knew his family was taken care of, he was able to focus on bringing scripture to the men that were in there. And it was a prison where a lot of men didn't speak English. So he was able to foster that scripture to them, with his broken Spanish, ultimately get them Spanish Bibles. And even a man that only spoke Arabic, but would be present just because he knew what was taking place, they were able to get him a Bible in his language that he understood. And all this was made possible by strangers coming to help someone they didn't know, just like we're hearing take place today. And he just the video was essentially him communicating how much it changed his life and how much it helped him and brought peace to his family, by strangers showing kindness.
Good stuff. Absolutely. I mean, this is what makes the world go around. And the word says, give and it will be given back unto you, pressed down and beyond measure. Like we can't outgive God, right? And we heard that earlier. You just can't. It's impossible. And so when you have a generous heart, you can always expect it is going to come back to you. So that's another reason why I'm doing this, because, as much as people hate on rich people, I'm just here to tell y'all, I've had nothing. I'm surrounded by generous, wealthy people, and they just pour it in. And they pour over a lot of great people. So I don't hate on the wealthy. I just don't. And I don't hate on the poor either, because I'm able to take that wealth and transfer it right on down into people's cups that don't have access to other demographics. And that's why we're here today, because I wanted to share my microphone and amplify people who don't have that amplification. Because, my microphone is otherwise used for politics. And that's not going to help this woman get her grandchild out of being trafficked by the family court system. Right? Now, we can put pressure on some of the local politicians there in Oklahoma. We can deploy some political assets in Florida. I mean, we can get creative now, because I just prayed for it. So don't get it twisted. Father's about to give us some really great creative ideas about how to help this family. And if you've got some creative ideas, they got to be lawful, though. Don't send me anything kooky, because I'm not going to open it. Don't send me files and all that stupid stuff. I'm too smart for that. So, but any type of honest help, we're down. Okay, we're moving along. Again, thank you to my sponsors today, His Glory. Please check out His Glory. Follow them on Twitter as well as their website. A lot of great content. I've been on there quite a few times. Pastor Dave covers politics, faith, everything happening in the kingdom and country, as well as the David Pollock Show. Love David. He's on Monday night, 7 p.m. And you can go to his Twitter handle and find out what his call letters are. He's out of Florida. Great new talent. He's an attorney, brings a lot to the landscape of the conversation of politics. And he's also hosting Twitter Spaces every Monday evening after his show. So he is extremely bright. He's funny. He's fair. And he's very good at what he does on the air. So I'm excited about being able to partner up with him for these spaces and what we're doing here today. And King, we're helping out the kingdom through your King School. And thank you again for being here with us and sharing your testimony. I'm going to move on to another very difficult, and I'm going to let him tell the story. It is okay for those of you who have lost a child, and I see some of you in here. Okay. That is a grief that I pray to God I never know anything about. I've buried a spouse at a very young age, and that was hard enough. But my heart breaks when I read your stories about losing your babies. And some of you have lost your adult babies to COVID-related things. And so our heart at Thirst Ministries goes out to you and all of us in here. I know that that's true. And so there's no shaming around vaccinations in this space. I don't care if you're vaxxed or unvaxxed, whatever. Now we're all in this stupid thing together, right? So it doesn't matter. Now it's just time to coalesce and help each other out of this craziness that, the fallen man nature has thrust upon us. So I want to go over to our next recipient. And if you guys don't mind putting his GoFundMe up in the nest too, that would be excellent. But Answers for Sean, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm so glad I had an opportunity to finally honor my commitment to you and give you an amplified mic on my platform. And please take it away and share with us what's happened and how we can help you.
Thank you so much, Monica. I truly appreciate every chance I get to talk about my boy.
And if you're talking, I don't hear you.
I'm talking.
He is speaking. We'll have to.
Okay. Yeah, we'll bring him back. Sorry about that. Okay. I'm going to remove you and then just pop right back up. I apologize. I hate it when that happens. Somebody's right in the middle of talking and then someone else is like, so anyway, my toenail polish. And you're like, hold on. Somebody's saying something. This is very important. When you guys see him, please bring him back up. Thank you.
While he's coming back up, I think it's probably a good time with 300 people in the room to just make sure you share this space on your feed so more people can see it. When we started this and we did our first roundabout, there was a little over 100.5 maybe. That's now double. So you are listening to Monica Matthews, this space. 5 individuals, their critical needs. You're hearing the stories. We have the ex School for Boys who spoke at the beginning. If you weren't in here, an amazing school. Make sure you just share this to your space. It's not about politics. It's about helping. And it would be grateful if you did. And of course, go to monicamatthews.com to sign up for her newsletter or to learn more about spaces like this. And a special thanks to Alpha Warrior, the Alpha Warrior Show.tv and the David Pollock Show, both of whom are streaming this to their audiences too. And if there's other people with those large followings that want to share and stream onto their channels here, we're thankful as well. And of course, I know we have Maze here as well, and she has an amazing audience, and she often co-hosts with Monica on financial spaces, and she's a wealth of knowledge. So with that being said, Monica, I think he is back up.
Let's also remind them that being that this is multi-streamed, you can let your elderly family members or relatives know, and other friends outside of the immediate Spaces X network, because there's they can be played back on the TV. So that's the benefit of this multicasting that's going on today.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great point, Tim, because these shows, Alpha Warrior Show TV, David Pollock, they're on YouTube, they're on Rumble, they're on multiple platforms. So make sure if you want to stream it on your TV, there's other people who may not be on Twitter. If they can stream it on their TV, and they can also share it with their friends too. Okay, Monica, back to you.
Thank you for that. Okay. All right, let's try that again.
Hi, Monica. Can you hear me now?
I can. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much for yet another great opportunity to talk about my boy. I truly cherish every chance I get. My name is Dan Hartman. I'm from Canada. And my boy Sean played hockey his whole life since he was able to play. It was his love and passion. The only way he could keep playing is if he took a vaccine. He didn't want to. He was very terrified of needles. But the world told him it was safe and effective. The government in Canada told him it was safe and effective. He gave in and took one shot of Pfizer on August 25th, 2021. 4 days later, he was rushed to emergency with brown circles around his eyes, the same raccoon eyes that Dr. Drew had, and vomiting and a rash and an extremely sore shoulder opposite to his injection shoulder. In my opinion, the doctor who saw him in emergency failed to do his job. He didn't do a D-dimer test. He did not do a troponin test, looking for blood clots and heart damage. He sent Sean home. 33 days after Sean took his very first Pfizer vaccine, on the morning of September 27th, 2021, Sean was found dead on the floor beside his bed. They did an autopsy and came back with cause of death unascertained. They can't tell me how he died. They don't know how he died. I didn't believe it. My son was healthy. He never had any underlying conditions. He was a hockey player. He was an athlete. So I started a Twitter page called Answers for Sean to get answers for my son. Thank God for Dr. Ryan Cole in America, who was able to test my son's tissue samples and find an extreme amount of spike protein, not from the virus, from the vaccine, in his adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands control your blood pressure. Sean's blood pressure crashed and he died. I have been fighting with all my heart for my boy. He was my only son. He was my whole life. He was everything. And a miracle happened. I only had until September 27th to have a lawyer file something for me because it was 2 years after his death. A miracle happened that I'm sure was from the Lord because through a tweet, my lawyer, Mr. Omar Sheikh from Canada, contacted me and said, please contact me. And I did. I have tried so many lawyers to fight for Sean, and none of them would do it. Omar Sheikh stepped up along with Angela Wood, and now have 2 lawyers who are going to fight for Sean. And we are filing the only lawsuit in North America against the government for death from a vaccine. For them to beat me in court, they're going to have to prove that the vaccine didn't kill Sean. And they can't prove that. Nobody in this world can. I have proof that it did kill him. And Dr. Peter McCullough has now agreed to be my expert witness. He's going to fly to Canada and testify for Sean in court. My fundraiser is for this lawsuit. It's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to cost a lot just to get Dr. McCullough over to Canada. We have to put him up. We have to, in a hotel, we have to pay him for his time. We have to pay him for his expert testimony. And it's the only thing that matters to me right now is to get justice for Sean. He was such a special boy who never did anything wrong. He didn't swear. He didn't have a drop of alcohol. He never smoked a cigarette. He didn't do drugs. He was a respectful, beautiful boy. And now every day I have to live without him. And it's so hard to get up and go to work every morning. He was the reason I got up and went to work. He was my reason for being on this earth. My lawyer came into my life because of a miracle from God. I have no doubt of that in my heart. My lawyer's dog is named the name of the doctor who saw Sean in emergency. My lawyer's birthday is on September 27th, the day Sean died. My second lawyer who is fighting for me, Angela Wood, my fiance's name is Angela. This has to be from God. That's too many coincidences. I just want justice for my boy who was murdered and taken from me. Thank you so much, Monica.
You're welcome. So, justice for Sean is going to be the beginning of justice for everyone. So, that is the power of holding a space like this. Because someone is going to start the justice train. And I'm fairly certain it is going to be this man for his son, and we have an opportunity to be a part of that. And so I think we have 10. Could one of you please put his GoFundMe. You can also, I'm certain, find it at Dan's Twitter page, Answers for Sean, which is right there. You guys go follow him, please. And you can donate there. Obviously, he has a great legal team. If there are those of you who possibly, this is where we get creative with financing. I love these opportunities. So those of you who may have airline miles that you can donate, maybe you have hotel miles to get Dr. McAuliffe there. So that sounds like an immediate need on top of the legal fees. But let's get creative. For those of you who have other resources in the way of, travel points that you can extend to Dr. Peter McCullough, let's work that out. And I'm going to let you work that out with Dan in your back channels. But get creative. I've got some airline miles that I know I can donate. I don't know if there'll be enough to do a round trip to Canada. But many of you have hotel miles. You've got, let's get it done. There's a lot of resources in this space. I see all of you. And some of you have more wealth than others, and that is a beautiful gift. But so is getting to the root of justice. And that does take money. It just does. And I'm not a huge proponent of people doing, a lot of things for, quote, free, especially in their respective professions. I think if people leave room for that in their law practices, that's fine. But otherwise, the word says that a workman is worth his wages. So, and I know they can be really expensive wages at times whenever it comes to lawfare. But, in this day and age, you guys, we got to be ready to actually fight on that landscape. And it takes money. It takes resources. It's one of the only reasons President Trump's still standing, let's be real. Money. He has the resources and the gut and the grit to actually just keep moving through the swamp of lawfare. But not all of us have that access. So, Dan, I'm very sorry again for your loss. Thank you so much for your courage to be here today. Your tears are not lost on any of us, trust me. And thank you for honoring us, with being able to share in your loss. A lot of people are suffering alone. They will not allow people into that sacred space. So it's not lost on us. Thank you very much. And, keep me in the loop as to what's happening with your GoFundMe, where you are, how we can continue to, support you in those efforts. Please, you guys, go and retweet his Twitter, his tweets. We all know most of us are black holed, but some of you aren't. And so kind of step outside of your own Twitter feed every now and then and go search for people who need the help. You just won't be sorry that you did that. So thank you very much. Christopher 10, did you have anything that you'd like to say to Dan?
Yes, I do. But I'll let Chris go first. He has something. And so on this subject, I've been following the Answers for Sean for a while now, and it's a really serious issue for people around the world and all of the United States. Since this has been added to the U.S. schedule, that puts all of our children at risk, and mine too. On Monday, I have to switch my registration by court order from homeschool to public school. And while we have exemptions here in Pennsylvania, we live under our current leadership is very likely to try to remove those exemptions to further the mandatory vaccination of children under the schedule. So I'm scared about it. I'm worried about it. I saw what happened in California where they revoked all of the schedule exemptions for the most part for the public school children. And I think that is a standing issue in lawfare. And if you want to put that to bed, helping Answers for Sean is going to do that. So, reach out if you can.
Thanks, 10. Christopher, are you with us? Okay. David, I saw that you come up. You guys welcome David. David is also one of our highlighted guests this evening and sponsors. So thank you, David, for being here. What you got?
Yeah, thank you so much. I was listening, and this story is just, there's a DM chat that with a bunch of people, and they're all talking about this story just being gut wrenching for them as well. I wanted to encourage everybody, and I put in the pill. Answer for Sean. What is is it Dan? Is that what you said Monica's name was?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Dan, I'm going to send, if you want to DM me, I might follow you. If you follow me back, I want to put an ad on my radio show for you for free. It won't cost you a dime. I'll put it on as long as you like, and I'll draw attention to your GoFundMe, and so we'll see if we can get some more people aware. And the reason why I put my hand up and jumped in the speaker box for just a quick second, and I want to encourage everybody else who's on here. I see some people listening that have their own platforms, whether it be a podcast or a radio show or whatever they have. Or if they have friends that do, please share this story and see if they wouldn't do at least a short run of just a quick PSA or something, even if it's 30 seconds, just bringing attention to this issue or any of the other issues you hear today. I don't want to exclude any of the other important causes, but for me personally, this one certainly pulls at my heartstrings. So I want to put this on my show. I want to give you an ad, and we'll run it and see if we can get some awareness to your cause. And I want to encourage everyone else to do the same thing. Anyway, that's what I wanted to just say real quick. Obviously, our hearts are with you, and I'm so sorry for this. I have kids too. I can't imagine. I can't even imagine. So with that, I'll drop down and keep listening. But thank you, Monica, for bringing awareness to this, and Chris, and Floyd. And with that, I'll keep listening. Keep doing great work.
Thank you, sir. And I didn't. This platform, I tell you, when you're in a serious moment and you actually hit the laugh emoji, and you're like, oh. That was that moment. My apologies. I was not laughing. I was trying to hit the heart. Listen, we have great news. See? God is so good. So I just got a DM from a lovely gentleman who has served our country for many years and has his own nonprofit that I sit on the board of that helps veterans with PTSD. And he's asking for Dan's handle because he wants to donate. Oh, it's going to be cry. His United miles for Dr. McCullough's travels. So apparently there's enough there to get him to where he needs to be. So like I said, and I'm going to put the two of you together in back channels. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. It's not always like cash. It's putting our heads together and our hearts together. And when that happens, man, God shows up and he shows out and mountains move. This is how this works. This is how faith and church should be working. So thank you all so much. So Dan, I'll put you in touch with him in a back channel. So I think we've at least got his airfare covered, and we will work out the rest of the details. And thank you so much for that, David, because that's so true. I do see some of my colleagues down here. What a great ask, and thanks for being here, you guys. I know you could be in any other space doing anything on a Sunday evening. Prodigal, it's great to see you, my love. And so, yeah, please have him on your platforms, run something, just alert your audiences to the needs. Right. So thank you so much for that, David. That was great. Okay. We're going to move on to our next honored recipient. But first I need to get back over to Alpha's Rumble channel. Again, if you're wanting to watch any of this and read through some of these as we're navigating through these stories, you can do so on Alpha's Rumble channel or YouTube or my YouTube and Twitter. We're cross streaming here. And for those of you in the future who want to get in on this and be part of what Thirst Ministries is doing, you don't have to be Christian to do this. Okay, you just have to have a heart. That's it. So if you have a microphone and a heart and you guys want to lend your platform to being able to stream with us in the future, it is very simple. And Alpha can direct you on all of that. We'll run it through his channel. And before you know it, we're just like spider webbing outside of this ecosystem of Twitter. And it's a really beautiful thing. So, and for all of you to be a part of that, I'm happy to highlight your shows, your networks, whatever, your merchandise, your websites, whatever y'all got going on. I'm not in competition with you all. We're supposed to be here to support each other. So give that some thought. But next we're going to move to the Prentice family this is a hard story as well, and some of you can relate to this wholeheartedly. So this gentleman, Kevin, has been DMing me for a while. Just, hey, pray for me, right? And I do want to say this: every single person who submitted was like, "Thank you. If you all can help us, that is amazing. But at the very least, I'm just asking for prayers." Okay, and that's fine. And I will absolutely continue to pray for you. And I have lifted you up in prayer, and I will continue to do so. But faith in action is also doing, right? And so this is part of the doing. And these folks have lost literally everything. Their house was just auctioned off, I believe, 2 weeks ago. And so when we were going through the families that we wanted to help, this family definitely stood out to us for a number of reasons, and some of you are going to be able to relate to this story. So, Kevin, I think you're up with us with a microphone now. I'm going to let you take the story and run with it, and then tell us what your needs are, sir.
Hi, Monica. Thank you very much for everything you do. Can you hear me?
Yep, got you loud and clear.
Okay, so I'm Kevin Prentice. We had a boat building business in Sarasota, Florida, and when COVID hit, the government took all the N95 masks and respirators from our distributor, who was right next door to us. So we had to close our business for about 2 months. During the 2 months, we applied for a PPP loan, got a little bit of money. We got our business back open. We were able to stay open for about 5 more months, but we couldn't sell any boats because they closed down every boat show in America for 2 years, and you really can't sell $50,000 to $200,000 boats sight unseen online. So we tried to advertise as much as we could. We sold a couple. We could build 150 a year, but it really didn't help. And about 2 weeks before the election of 2020, we had a few buyers that had a check written, but we were waiting to see who won the election, to see if they were where the economy was going. And my landlord, we were 6 weeks back in rent, and his business partner is a county commissioner of 20 years. Talked to a judge who illegally evicted us for being 6 weeks back on rent. And the sheriff came in one morning, kicked me out of the business, changed the locks, and said, "Too bad, you lose everything." They sold off all our boats, our trucks, our vehicles, our molds, everything we owned in the business, and kept all the money, didn't give us the difference between the $25,000 rent and the hundreds of thousands of dollars that they auctioned it off for. So we started working on bankruptcy filing, but we didn't even have our books because all our files were in the business, in the building. So I spent months and months creating basically tax documents from bank statements to see what we can do to file.
So we just
Hello?
lose him.
Oh,
Evan,
hold on.
there you are. Okay, go ahead.
Got it. So we were getting ready to file for bankruptcy, and we told one of our creditors that their lawyer is a local lawyer in our town who owns 3 private jets at the airport. They are friends with the sheriff and had the sheriff break our door down at 5 o'clock in the morning, drag us out of bed in handcuffs, and throw us in jail for 10 hours. We didn't get to see a judge or a lawyer. There was no reason for it. Then they let us walk home 6 miles in 100-degree weather. And then the next week we filed for bankruptcy, and my bankruptcy lawyer heard from their lawyer that, we just wanted to punish them, make them feel pain before they filed bankruptcy. So we got into the bankruptcy. It took a lot longer than expected. We finally got out of it in September last year. 6 days later, Hurricane Ian hit us directly in Punta Gorda. We got $200,000 worth of damage to the house. We were hoping to use the insurance money to get back on our feet and start a business and then put it back into the house. But of course, State Farm wants to fight and doesn't want to give us any money. So then we had we were on the COVID deferment plan for our mortgage with the bank, and the state was supposed to be renegotiating our mortgage with the bank to put everything to the back end of our mortgage and let us start all over without owing any back payments. And turns out about a month ago, we found out that the company that the state paid to renegotiate never talked to the bank. And about 10 days ago, they auctioned off our house for basically what we owed, and we lost $600,000 in equity in the house, and we're being forced to move out of here in the next week or so. We're looking for a new house in the area, or a new home in the area to just rent, see what we can do and get back on our feet. We've been working to see whatever we can do to get a business started, get off the ground and get back on our feet. I'm a classically trained chef, and I've been working on trying to buy a food truck just to get started with something as a business. It's the cheapest way to get into the restaurant business, and we're just trying to figure something out. I've been working for the last year, working on concepts and menus and recipes for a food truck and or a restaurant if we happen to get lucky. And I've basically taken up with a homeless camp in town, about 20 people who have some mental disorders, living in the woods. And I cook gourmet meals for them twice a week, trying to help them out. And, you know, I've been driving for Uber for the last year and a half. And they kind of have me on speed dial and have me drive them wherever they want, you know, to go pick up their medications, to and from the doctor's appointments. And just trying to do the right thing, serving God, and just waiting to hear what happens. I mean, we didn't even get upset that we lost our house. My wife and I agreed that we would just give it up to God, and whatever he wanted to do, he was going to do. We can't fight his plans anyway. And I mean, I've just been happy that the one thing is that came out of all this is my wife got salvation. She grew up in a African country as a Muslim, and about 2 years ago, she found Jesus, and a year and a half ago, we joined the church in the area, and I got baptized again, and then I baptized her. So we've been thankful for everything, and we know God's going to make things better for us in the future, but we're just really trying to get back on our feet.
Beautiful. Okay, and for the record, Kevin did not ask for money. He didn't even have a give, send, go. He set this up because I asked him to, because I wasn't trying to send. He didn't ask for money. He asked for prayers. And he was like, hey, if you want to share our testimony on your space, you know, by all means do so. And so I submitted him into the pile of names, and we were like, well, why don't you just come on and share your testimony? And he didn't ask for anything other than prayers. And so he set up a GoFundMe, Give, Send, Go. You guys can see that up in the nest. I think we'll put that up in just a moment. And it's very, you know, vague. It's just kind of like, hey, this is, we lost everything, and this is where we are. And, you know, right now they're looking at $100,000. Now, I don't know what it costs to set up a food truck. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, Kevin, full disclosure. And you can ask Chris and Tin, I have absolutely fantasized about walking away from everything media and political and heading to the beach in a little sarong to operate a freaking taco truck like 2 hours out of the day and just live La Vida Loca, right? Because this stuff wears me out in media. But then God's like, okay, Monica, get a grip. So here we are. We're going to help you get a taco truck or something. How about that? So I don't know what you want. I don't know what you would cook out of that sucker. I don't even care. But if you can cook and you're helping the homeless, I think this is your day that we're going to find a way to get creative on how we can assist you. And for those of you, you know, again, go. It's $100,000. I don't know what they're going to do with it in terms of taco trucks or trying to pay for housing. You know, they're going to have a place to sleep. And I can tell you this, when you place your hope and your faith in Father, he always comes through. So thank you, Kevin, for sharing that with us. I love your faith. I'm so grateful that your wife has, you know, made that leap over into Christendom, and that's awesome that you were able to baptize her. And so I'm actually excited about the next chapter for you, but I wanted you to share it because there's so much devastation in people's lives that were, you know, instigated by COVID. And, 14 days has turned into just 14 years of misery for people. I mean, it's just, I don't even think we've begun to see the fallout. So, yeah, I'm glad you're here today. Thank you. I know, believe me, I know how hard it is for men particularly to lay it all out there and ask for help, or just, hey, this is what's going on. But the word says that we overcome the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And so for all of this oppression and death and hell and destruction, we're overcoming by the word of our testimony to help each other and his faithfulness and the blood of Christ. That's how we overcome, in a nutshell, full stop, period. And we keep rolling. And that's how we give our Father glory. So thank you for being here. 10, Chris, did y'all have any questions for Kevin? Yes or no? If not, we're going to move forward to the next person. Okay, cool. All right.
I just had real quick. What?
Yeah.
Any idea of what kind of food you would do in this food truck? Just real brief.
I've spent the last 9 months working on 6 different concepts. So I've been working on the recipes and the menus. I have, like I said, 6 different concepts of food trucks and 3 different concepts of restaurants. So I'm just waiting to see what happens. I mean, I God has some plans for me. I don't know what they are, but I've just been making sure that I'm ready to go when he puts it out there for me.
So just like name one type of food that would be your favorite to do.
I mean, I have an egg roll concept where I do 16 different flavored egg rolls. Like brisket mac and cheese, sausage and peppers, all different kinds of specialties, gyro egg rolls, just a bunch, and everything's homemade from scratch. I have a dessert truck. I have a concept. I have tacos and quesadillas. I have barbecue, like all smoked.
That's perfect. Everything. That's what I had in mind. I love it.
We're laughing because if Chris lived in Florida, he would probably partner with you on a taco truck and he would keep you in business, if nothing else. Okay, listen up.
Or the gyros.
That's right. They're called Euros. Hello. God, you guys are wearing me out. So if you're going to do the Euro truck, you got to call it what it is. Okay, listen. Those of you folks who live in Florida who might be looking for a business opportunity. I mean, I'm even thinking about this as a business opportunity for myself. I love helping startups like this. And so, especially start overs, right? This isn't just a startup. This is a start over. And so how do we partner? I'd like to see some of your concepts, to be honest with you. And if you have a pitch deck or if you need help putting that together, let me know. But do you have immediate needs for food, shelter, money in that regard on top of what your vision is for the food truck?
I mean, right now we looked at a bunch of houses the last 2 Sundays and we applied with a couple of different rental companies. We're just waiting to hear back from them and seeing if we qualify. And then we're just going to have to move real quick. We packed up our whole house, all our belongings into boxes and totes, and we're just, we haven't even been contacted by the buyers of our house from the auction. I had to speak with the court clerk, and she said there's 11 business days before they get the deed to the house, which means Thursday they get the deed, and then they're going to tell us when we have to be out. And we're ready to move. We just have to figure out which place we can get into, and then just pray that something comes along quickly.
I think
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. When I heard what you were talking about in terms of State Farm and the insurance industry, and I know that's a major problem in Florida right now. I'm a licensed claims adjuster. My home state actually licenses Florida, and so I hate to hear that. What I always recommend. I don't know. Did you end up getting a contractor involved to help with that, or are you using a public adjuster? What are you doing in that process?
We got a public adjuster the day after the storm. State Farm basically denied the claim. Then he said we were supposed to go to litigation and get an attorney. And then he saw that our house was up for foreclosure and just goes to this. And as far as I know, he's got a fiduciary duty to us since we have a signed contract. but he's ghosted us for the last 3 months, and now the house is owned by somebody else. I mean, we haven't. I kind of happy that we're moving out of here though, because one thing that we lost in the hurricane was our central air conditioning. So our house has been 95 degrees for the last few months, especially with this heat wave. So I think that was God's way of saying, okay, I want you to give up the house and go somewhere else.
Did he release you from the assignment of benefits that he had you guys sign?
He ghosted us. We haven't heard from him in 3 months, maybe 4 months now.
Okay.
I sent him 2 text messages. He didn't even reply.
Did you sign an assignment of benefits, an AOB, with him?
No.
Okay. You may want to look at the contract agreement that you have with him just to make sure that there's not an assignment of benefits language in there. Because that's how these public adjusters operate, is they actually get you to sign an assignment of benefits. And so just double check.
No, I know we didn't sign an AOB. We got a small check from the insurance company that he took his 10% out. That was just for some of our personal belongings that were destroyed in the storm. He got the check sent to him. He took his 10%, then wrote us a check. It was just minimal for our personal belongings, but nothing for the damage to the house.
And what I don't want to get too sidetracked here in the conversation, but what was the justification for them denying the roof?
I mean, it was $200,000 in damage. It's everything, and their claims adjuster put in for everything. He said it's over $200,000 in damage, and their desk adjuster just said, we see 45 broken roof tiles. We see nothing really here, nothing really there. I mean, we have 14-foot walls, and they said they're 8 foot, and there was no damage. We're on the water, and they said there's no damage to your dock. There's no damage to this. We just don't see any damage. And then my adjuster was to the point where he was supposed to get the lawyer involved and saw that it was up for foreclosure because a bunch of my neighbors use the same guy, and they kind of were asking me questions about or through him, like he wanted to find something out, and then he just ghosted us.
Okay. Well, it sounds to me like he's kind of tried to bypass the arbitration process, which is, pretty important process. So, typically you'll go to an arbitration process and they'll put in forth what they call an umpire, and the umpire will typically is a neutral party that will go through that. And then if the insurance company still denies, and of course at that point in time you would have to go to litigation. But
well, my question is, because nobody speaks with me about anything, even though we lost the house, do we still have the right for the claim?
So if the damages took place prior to the loss of the house and you had something filed in that process, yes. I think I'm not an attorney, so you would need to verify that. But where are you located?
Punta Gorda, Florida, Southwest Florida.
Okay. So I know there is a company down there. I'm not trying to do a shameless plug, but I know they're good people. It's called Universal Contracting of Florida. You can look them up in Fort Myers. I'm sure they have something near Punta Gorda service. In fact, I know they service over by Punta Gorda and all that.
That's 20 minutes away.
Yeah, so I would definitely look them up and give them a call. They have people that have experts in this process, and they will just tell you straight up, like, if you're going to have a shot at it or not. Okay, they're a contracting company, so it's not like they're public adjusters. They won't take the 10%. But I think what's going to be really important is you to get to the determination as to what the plan is for this public adjuster, because as long as claims are involved and he's involved, he's going to try to take 10% of everything that comes through. So if he's going to release you from his agreement and then you go with this contractor or whoever you choose, that's going to be pretty important, because 10% is a pretty large cut, right? And of course, I was involved in the contracting industry for 10 years, 3 of which were in Florida. And I just always tell people 10% of what? What is that 10%? 10% of the total contract, 10% of whatever work he does, because some of these public adjusters, they charge 10% of whatever they get on top of what was originally approved. I mean, so there's all this finicky language, and that's a little bit of an issue in Florida. Final thing I'll tell you is be very careful in the rental side in Florida. Just do your due diligence. There are a lot of scams. So I know that there is a company down there, First Key. I don't know a lot about them. I just know from personal experience that they are, I had known them to be legit in, here in the Midwest when I moved back from Florida, actually on a short-term lease. And so I know that they're down there too. Just be really cautious of wherever you're renting, and just do your due diligence.
I looked at 3 First Key properties today.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think is good about them, is that they tend to be really affordable, quite frankly, and they work with people on payment plans and some different things. They have an app. I mean, when you deal with Florida, you deal with a lot of international investors, right? And so it's really, you can get scammed very easy. You know what I mean? So just kind of a heads up on that, man, Kevin. I appreciate your what you're talking about here. And here's one thing I'll promise is, if you get your taco truck off the ground, my next trip to Punta Gorda or Southwest Florida, I'll be partaking in your tacos. That's for sure.
I appreciate it.
So I sent you some images of vision of said food truck based on what you told me there, and I DM'd that to you, so you can use that. So you have an image to go along with this.
Was that ChatGPT or AI originated?
That was Midjourney that I used to create that.
I love it. I just love it, Kevin. Thanks, man. We got you in our prayers for sure. And again, for those of you who want to keep up with Kevin and his journey and his family, please, you know where to find him on his Gifts and Go GoFundMe. You can also follow him on Twitter, keep up with their journey. And again, I'm going to open the mics up ever so briefly in just a few minutes once we finish with these last two. Because something that's really important are also words of encouragement. So if you have a question, if you have a word of encouragement, here's what we're not going to do. I am not opening the mics up for you all to come up and tell us about your harrowing stories. Okay. We're not doing that in this space. I love you all. I'm happy to open another space on another day for it. And I know I see many of you in here who have your own stuff that we are trying to help with in other back channels, but that's not what this is for. So, but if you have a word of encouragement, if you have a prayer, if you have a word of hope, if you have resources, if you can come up here and do what David Pollock did and say, hey, I've got an audience, I've got a business, I'm happy to, advertise or help with whatever. If you have Sky Miles, if you have hotel points, if you have rental car points, if you have Visa gift cards that you feel like you want to give away, that's the time to come up and share those things with us. And then we're going to close the space out because I know there are other spaces that are getting ready to start that some of you want to go to. We've had some technical issues and we've just had a great time here, to be honest with you. I have anyway, I'll just speak for myself. And so I'm not going to another space. I'm leaving this and I'm going to grill my steak and enjoy a baked potato and a wonderful Pinot. And I'm going to praise God with the first miracle for all of you. And what a glorious, glorious day this has been for me. The best day on the air I've had in probably the past 8 years of my on-air life. So thank you.
Is one of what Kevin just kind of highlighted here is a great example because there's so many people, Monica, I know you've got messages. There's so many people out there that are struggling with just basic. It's not basic. It's very serious issues, but maybe a contractor, or an electrician, or a roofing contractor, or an attorney, or public adjuster. Someone can give some free advice and guidance, even that's worth almost priceless in situations like Kevin just described, right? So, I just want to put that out there as well because I know all y'all have a roofer, all y'all have a whatever, and that's priceless for people that are sometimes in need, so just keep that into consideration as well. But most important thing here is what we're talking about is giving today.
Amen. Thank you for that. Okay, we're moving on to Kim. Kim is Kim's not actually looking for a lot of money. And she does, if we can put Kim's, what are we on? We are on GoFundMe. Listen, I know some of you have a real problem with GoFundMe. I hear you. Okay. But can we please get over ourselves for just a minute and understand that these folks need help? Okay. So whatever platform they're on, I know, I get it. And going forward, I'm going to request that people that we are assisting through our ministry are not on GoFundMe, but that's my political beef I have with them. But for today, some people are on GoFundMe, and that's okay. So when we got Kim's story, when we prayerfully submitted this, right, to vote on whether or not Kim and her son would be included in this, the thing that jumped out to one of the women in my fellowship was the same thing that jumped out to all of us, which is Kim has a plan. Kim and her son have a plan, right? And they are in need. And it's a doable goal. It's $3,500. One of you could cut a check for that right now. Like, you could go deposit that in her GoFundMe right this second, and that need would be fulfilled. But when we read through her GoFundMe, it was just like, wow, she and her son have struggled, and she's going to tell you her story in just a moment. I just wanted to lead you down the path of how we came to the heartfelt conclusion that, you know what, we want to provide the opportunity for Kim and her son to stand up on their feet. And I have been a recipient of survivor's benefits when my husband died until my daughter turned 16, and then they kick you out of the nest. And so I know what that mindset can be sometimes for people who are on particular benefits. That system is meant to keep you there. It is literally super glue. For those of you who are on permanent disability checks, y'all know it. And so whenever I see someone who is receiving assistance, who is like, hey, I got a plan and I've got a vision and I have a dream, I'm like, well, heck yeah. And I want to get on board with helping you and your son fulfill the vision and the dream. So, Kim, without further ado, thank you so much for being here, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Please tell us how we can help you.
Thank you. I'm nervous, so please bear with me. My name is Kim Meese, and our son's name is Logan. He is 21 now. I'm a crier too, so please forgive the tears in between. I've been struggling with mental health since my early teens. I was diagnosed with severe depression and anxiety, which has pretty much imprisoned me most of my life. But I always tried to hide it and do things like work or volunteer my time to try to avoid ever having to admit that there was issues that needed to be dealt with. I started having blackouts and anxiety attacks as an adult at work, which was the beginning of that permanent disability that I started in on. In 2009, I was granted disability. And at the time we have 2 kids, and my son, Logan, from an early age on, I could see it developing in him too. Sorry.
It's okay.
And it broke my heart, but we tried everything to keep him keep him focused on life. And he was always a hard worker, and he played hockey. At 9, he started playing, and that was probably his lifesaver. It kept him focused. It made him feel alive. And he as he got older, he started having anxiety attacks too, and it caused him to end up being homeschooled because of it, because it would cripple him at school, and he started getting bullied at school too. So in 2019, we lost our home to foreclosure because of my husband getting ill and due to that loss of income. We lived in our vehicle, in between our vehicle and motel rooms until February of 2022, when an apartment finally opened up in our area that we could actually afford. The housing costs right around COVID time skyrocketed here because they were still pretty affordable, and a lot of people figured that out, so they started moving up into North Idaho. And it kept us in our vehicle until February of 2022, when we found an apartment and finally got permanent housing, a roof over our head. I have to say, during that time, I got angry at God because I thought he was punishing us. And I realized that it was because we had lost focus on what was important in life. And that he was the most important thing. And we were trying to do things on our own without his help. And it doesn't work like that. And, sorry.
Okay, you can take a breath. It's okay.
It's just hard.
I know, and I hope you know that he's not mad at you.
We're learning that now. I was baptized when I was 16. So I grew up in a Christian home, and God's always been an important part of my life. But there for a few years, we lost focus, and things just didn't go the way we thought they should go. The last year, I've been going to church again. I rededicated my life to Jesus. And I'm ready to live life like I believe it was meant to be lived. I don't want to be imprisoned by my mental health anymore. I'm not going to let the devil win this battle. My son, as an adult, has struggled every day in the same situation. He struggles to keep a job. His anxiety will freeze him in life, and it breaks my heart that he is suffering all these things that I have suffered as well. We've decided that as hard as it is to deal with our mental health, we're tired of it. We're tired of being trapped, and we want to be able to start living our lives again for God. And one of the things that we have talked about was becoming real estate agents. And I know it's a challenging job, but we think that together we can succeed. And some of my things that I have dealt with my mental health was that I felt like a failure most of my life, as a mom, as a wife, and a daughter. And there were times where I felt like I'd be better off dead than alive. But I'm not going to let that control me anymore. So we decided together that we want to take on this venture. I am on disability, and I have been for a while. And it really is limiting. They don't want you to get off of it, and it's kind of like its own prison itself. But it's time to break free of all that. And My son has,
So you want to get your license
Yeah.
together, but then I see where Logan needs to acquire his GED. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes, because we were homeless. He never graduated high school,
Okay.
and he needs to get his GED before he can take the real estate licenses classes.
Okay.
So our process and what we want is to be able to get him the money to be able to get his classes done, and then be able to buy the online classes to take for our real estate licenses, and then the fees that come across along with that after you get licensed. So we're just kind of stuck in life, and we're tired.
Well, not as of today. You're not, sister. So, okay. So check this out. Okay. So real estate, let's talk about this. So why real estate? Like, I love the idea of a mother-son team because I think you two, especially with your challenges, can overcome those challenges by holding each other accountable. And if you have actual accountability partners within your church who will disciple you through some of these, choppier waters that you're coming out of, because we know the devil doesn't like to let go of us. And if he's had you imprisoned for a while, certain things are going to pop up. They're familiars or otherwise triggers that will try to keep you where you are. But we are believing for a new day, and so in a new season, which is amazing. And so, what was it about real estate, or is specifically, that you think you're like, hey, I could do this? I could get out and show houses. Is it going to be residential? Is it corporate? Is it industrial? Like, what type of real estate do you two want to do together?
So the reason why we chose real estate was because even though it's hard work and it's going to be challenging, it's something that gives us some kind of flexibility to. I worked a desk job for a long time. I was a financial worker at a welfare office, and that was part of what triggered my anxiety to get worse. Both of us like kind of being in control and helping people, and this would give us an opportunity to work together, to be independent, but learn from other people who know what they're doing, and have the flexibility to have unlimited resources and potentially income to better our family situation, because we want to be able to give back to everybody who helped us when we were homeless. So we want to start out with residential and let the future go from there. It will be in God's hands at this point, and whatever doors he wants to open for us, we're willing to run through.
Okay. So there are 206 of you left in the space, if not a little more. I am going to ask those of you who are in the real estate industry, if you wouldn't mind reaching out to Kim. Consider whether or not there's some type of you can introduce her to your network. You can introduce her to ideas or potential challenges, or how to even get into it at all. And just reach out, right? She's right there, handles right there. Like I said, her son has an immediate need of accessing his, accomplishing his GED. We all know how important that is. We know how important education is. It is a very limited amount of money. It's nominal. It's 30 for some of you, maybe it's not, but considering what other financial needs are, $3,500 is not a giant goal. So they're no longer in their car, praise the Lord, and they do have food, praise the Lord, and shelter, which is great. And so, yeah, let's get creative, folks. For those of you who are in the real estate business or who have been, I think it'd be a great time to introduce, possibly, if you guys are part of I'm thinking in terms of crime syndicates. So I always want to say syndicate because I deal with politicians. But as it pertains to, what's that word? Franchise. Thank you. If any of you are part of a franchise, and you can offer suggestions or point her in the right direction or welcome her into your franchise, please do so. If there's someone out there who wants to foot the whole bill for them to be able to, son and mother the team component of knocking this thing out as a team, then please reach out to her personally. And she's right there in front of you, and her Give, Send, Go, or GoFundMe rather, is right up there in the nest as well. So Kim, I'm happy for you, and I'm very proud of you for staying alive to this point. If I had $1 for every time I've heard someone tell me that in the past month alone, that they have considered just ending it, and that's another reason why I'm doing this, because you have to know, and I've been there too. So I get it. And it's a dark place, and it can be very lonely, and the enemy comes in like a flood. But the Lord raises a banner over us whenever the enemy comes in like a flood, and his banner is his word. And so his word for you is that he has a hope and a future and a plan for you. And he's not mad at you. And he's actually quite proud of you for even still being here and wanting to overcome your challenges. And so I am very blessed to be able to come alongside you and hold you accountable, hold your hand, talk to you, whatever it is. You know how to reach me. You've got my DMs. I'm completely accessible. And welcome back into the kingdom, by the way.
Thank you.
Not that you ever left the kingdom, because once you say amen to the Lord, you're in the kingdom. But sometimes we start sliding down that slippery gray slope, and before you know it, we're in a world of just yuck. So welcome back. And, time to clean off and apply, that broken body in the blood of Christ that covers all of your sins, and grab a hold of that hope. And obviously you're doing that. So, you were here today for a reason. So you're in this space for a reason. I hope everyone hears that, because a lot of times we do feel very forgotten. It's very easy when you're in the toilet to think that God hates you. Matter of fact, I just asked him that myself not long ago, where I was like, do you just not like me? Because I know I'm not likable sometimes. And I sit down to read my word, and we literally had, just an amazing time going from scripture to scripture to scripture. And ultimately the picture that he painted was, taking me back to Nehemiah of all things, where it's all about, Ezra's prayer goes over just how merciful he is. And even though the Israelites would legit be like, whatever. Okay, by the way, thanks for the manna. Okay, that was awesome. Yep, now we're going to complain. Oh, by the way, let's have an orgy. Oh, let's build a golden calf. Oh, let's backtrack on this. And oh, let's complain about that. And oh, my feet. And oh, we hate the quail. And oh, we hate the manna. And through all of it, man, it was like forgiveness, 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 mercy, 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 mercy. And they would go into captivity, and they would cry about it and moan and groan. And then he would forgive them and give them their liberty. And then they go right back to it again. And so the word says that he has pity for us like a father does his children. So please don't forget that. And if you need a reminder, I'm here. So thank you. I know that was hard for you. And anxiety is it also can be a spirit of fear. And he didn't give us a spirit of fear. He gave us the power of love and a sound mind. That's who we are as his children. So if you need a reminder, I'm here for you. And I'm sending people your way. So thank you very much. And tell Logan we said hi, and we're praying for him too.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, my dear. Okay. We have saved not the best for last, but certainly like the most, man, this woman is our sister, our Twitter sister. Okay. Like she is family. And so there was no way I was doing this without including her, because that's just stupid. So we didn't even really have to vote on this, because I was like, I don't care what y'all vote. Moneypenny is going to be part of this, because she is a blessing to our Twitter spaces with humor, with stories. She is about to tell us exactly what went down. But I think, Alpha, you're going to hit play on that video so we can hear it and see it. So for those of you who are watching the stream, you will see the montage that she's put together that is going to describe what her hell has been with long COVID. And I see some of you in here who are still struggling with long COVID. And I'm just here to tell you, it is hell for many people. And it manifests in many different ways for people. So Alpha, whenever you're ready to go, we'll play that, and then we'll have Moneypenny come up and chat about it, and then we'll keep rolling through this and wrap us up here shortly.
All right, give me about 5 seconds, and I think I got this worked out.
I can't hear anything.
Yeah, your 5 seconds are up.
Can you guys hear it? Or you guys can't hear it?
No, we can't hear it.
All right, so it's not going to work then. Actually, hold on. One more. Let me try one more thing, and I think
Okay.
we can get this.
You're good. I mean, I may just be able to play the audio through mine, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I could do the same if she
Can
gets
you hear it
stuck.
now?
No.
All right, yeah. So we'll try that.
Okay, hold on. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go over to, where is she? Miss Money Penny.
Yeah. I could play the audio, but I am also dual streaming your show into Clubhouse because I've got a few
What?
of my old dedicated friends here listening in to you for the whole show on Clubhouse. So say hi, Monica.
Hi. Hi, everybody. I love it. Clubhouse. Okay,
Yeah,
hold on. I'm going to. All right, hold on one second. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna try this. Hold on.
Everything
Y'all-
waving, by the way, just so you know.
Everybody's waving. I love it. Thank you. All right, hold on. I'm going to Money Penny, my message. I think it would just probably come through clearer if I did it. But Alpha, you can still play it like on the stream though, right? Like the video itself.
I'll put a link to it from YouTube so anybody can watch. This is uploaded to YouTube as well. It's available now. Just click on the link and you can watch and horribly see some of the horrible things that happen,
Okay.
unfortunately, from COVID.
Give me 1 second. All right, hold on. Let's try this.
You're going to laugh because I heard Money
Put a link
Penny's
to it
voice.
from
I thought you
YouTube.
were recording the video.
Wait, you did what?
I heard Money Penny's voice. So I thought the video was playing already. I didn't realize it was real time Money Penny. For those that are watching on Rumble, the link to all these things that we're talking about are in the description, so you guys can take a look at them later.
But the voice is just as
I can't do it on mine because I'm streaming with you and it's going to give me double. So here's what we're going to do. We have the woman in the flesh literally sitting right here in the space. So you guys can watch the video that is streaming and you will see pictures and you're going to see everything that she put together. But she did work really hard to get this montage together, which I greatly appreciate. But we're going to let her tell us what the heck has been going on and how we can support her and what her immediate needs are. So Money Penny, take it away.
Oh, but I spent hours putting that together because I knew I'd be so nervous I wouldn't be able to do it. Can I play it from device to device for you and you can tell me if it's okay?
Of course you can. I've never known you to be nervous. So I hear you in spaces, young lady. But yeah, go for it. Whatever you're comfortable doing. I can't do it from here because you're going to hear an echo because I'm streaming.
Okay.
But the voice is just as enigmatic.
Yeah, that's not going to work. It's really, really, hey, Money Penny, that's not going to work. It's very difficult to hear. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to have to put our nerves down and you're just going to tell us like you do in spaces whenever it's like 5 o'clock in the morning, your time. And we're all just getting started in our spaces at midnight talking about manscaping. We're going to let you just chill and laugh and then go for it with your story, which is actually very serious. And I do know that you have some very real financial needs. So, just tell us whatever you want us to know.
Wow. Okay. So first of all, thank you to so many of my friends and people like Maze that have known me for several years that are here. Thank you for giving me support and strength. Let me just give you a bit of background because not everybody in the room knows me. Obviously, I'm British. I live in the UK. Ironically, in quite a rural area, the Cotswolds in Cheltenham. I live on my own because in 2019, I came out of a 9-year relationship with somebody who was treating me in a very narcissistic way. But I still love that person because they were a British Army veteran with 5 tours that did amazing things in Iraq and was terribly suffering from horrible PTSD. And I stood by them through screaming, sweating nightmares. And although they horribly hurt me and cheated me and did lots of things that were very unpleasant. I felt their pain, but I couldn't live in a relationship. So I left that in September 2019. And to sort of reward myself for being brave enough to come out of a relationship where I lived in fear, I booked a trip to St. Lucia, which I call my second home. I've been there 30 times. And I was going to go there Christmas 2019 to cheer myself up, to get myself my strength and my self-confidence back after feeling intimidated and worthless and horrible and physically ugly and all the rest of those things you do when you come out of a horrible narcissistic relationship. But on holiday in St. Lucia in 2019, on Christmas Day, I went up to the chef that I've known for years, and I was a bit tipsy. And I said, I can't taste any of your food. It's awful. It's Christmas. What's going on? And of course, I didn't realize at all at the time that that was the first day of my COVID experience. No taste, no smell in St. Lucia. And from the day after that, from Boxing Day, I was a heat of boiling sweat and pain, no idea what was happening. The hotel doctors and people said it was probably swine flu, and I did my best to get back well enough, or to fake it, to get back on a Virgin Atlantic flight back to the UK. I'm now 44 months on from that experience, and over the last 3 years, I have given up on many occasions. I have to say that. I returned to the UK and I had so many different symptoms. I was breaking out in strange rashes. I was smelling chemical burning when somebody wore a certain perfume. I was totally wiped out in a fatigue that was as though chloroform had been put over your face. To reach out from where I was sleeping to get a glass of water just wasn't possible. My joints, my lower back, my kidneys hurt as though somebody was stabbing me, and I would get these random pains. I couldn't walk after 2 weeks in the UK. I would collapse. My blood pressure and my blood sugar would surge upwards and downwards. And I was what I would say a mess. And the doctors in the UK wouldn't see me for 14 days because they presumed swine flu. When I went in to see them, they did lots and lots of blood tests. And at the time, they sat me down and said, we think you have multiple myeloma, an incurable blood cancer, because they found things in my blood that indicated this, things like M protein, kappa, lambda, all these weird things. And they also saw arthritic joints, a lot of inflammation. My blood and urine tests were very abnormal. Close to diabetic, pre-diabetic. I was obviously completely on my own because I'd just lost a partner of 9 years. And when that happens, you lose pretty much your social circle. I only had my 2 little dogs who I love and adore. So I was shut in my house. And then February, the news came on and there was this big bug going around called COVID. And I watched the news and I saw the people in Italy, and suddenly I saw myself. I saw the symptoms. I saw what was happening to my body happening to them. And I couldn't believe it because it just in my head was not possible that I had COVID. It was something from China. But then I realized what I'd done. On the 22nd of December, 2019, I had stayed in the biggest airport in London, Gatwick Hotel, the night before I flew. And on that same afternoon, 6 flights from Wuhan had gone in to the same airport I was in. And I had shared an airport hotel with people that had traveled from Wuhan. And so 2 days, 3 days afterwards in St. Lucia, when I started to feel those symptoms, it all started to make sense. So I asked my doctor to do a COVID test, and obviously they laughed at me. So the illnesses continued, and I tried to get through it. But it got to June 2020. I'd had really bad problems breathing. My heart was very erratic. And then suddenly I got a case of sepsis, which, as you know, is pretty life-threatening. I was on a call to a journalist because I'd been with the BBC for many years in my past, and I was still freelance writing and doing journalism before I got ill. And when I was on the call to the journalist, she saw me and said, "You do not look well." And I had this huge lump, green, black, swelling, dripping from my left arm, septic bursitis. Long story short, paramedics arrived in my house. All over my house was scientific research because I did not believe my diagnosis of just cancer. I knew there was something strange going on. I'd always been academic. I'd always been a high flyer. I'd been head girl of a top public school, and I was bloody brainy, even if I was no good at anything else. So I pulled out all my science books, and they were sprayed across my house. And when the paramedics arrived, I had posters up about COVID. I was pretending to be Professor Moneypenny. I had little pictures to make myself laugh. And the paramedics saw that as psychosis, and they wrote it down. Instead of writing down the sepsis and the TIA and the little stroke that I'd had and all the rest of it. And 3 days later, my doctor of 18 years arrived on my doorstep, unannounced. Everything was locked down, with a full mental health team, dressed in full protective gear on my doorstep, knocked on the door, and I opened it, and I was just terrified. There were these people, I couldn't see their faces, in full PPE on my doorstep. They came in, they sat in my lounge, and they said, "We've got 10 minutes for you to pack a bag. We're taking you to somewhere safe." And I suddenly realized what was happening. So my own GP of 18 years tried to section me into a mental health place because she believed that I was psychotic and that all these different physical ailments were not possible. And the fact I wanted a COVID test meant I was psychotic. And the following day, after the psychiatrists, the professionals had looked at me and said, "There's absolutely nothing wrong with her. She's intellectual, she's academic. She explained the biocellular chemistry and the Epstein-Barr reaction of SARS-CoV-2 better than anybody has ever done." And so they realized they'd made a mistake, and my GP sacked me. And in the UK, when you don't have a GP, you have no doctor, you have no point of call, you have nothing. I had nothing for a good 8 to 10 months. And during that time, I had heart attacks, strokes, TIA, blood coming from my nose, my ears. I lost my eyesight. I was on my own in a house, terrified, with no doctor and nobody. And I didn't trust anybody after that, as you can imagine. So I went to my lawyer and I said, "I don't deserve to live. I want to sign a do not resuscitate order. I do not want the paramedics and the ambulances coming for me. I've never been able to have children. I was sexually abused as a kid, and that stopped it. I can't have kids. I have nobody. Nobody will care. And there is a pandemic, and the ambulances are needed for other people." So that's what happened. I signed this order not to resuscitate, not to visit me. I didn't think I was going to survive it. I wrote my will, and then I just shut down. And you'll ask them, where are my friends and family? I only have 2 members of my family, my father and my brother. They both abandoned me in those few weeks. My father was asked to do a blood test so they could test my blood for something pretty lethal, and he refused. He was asked if it was life or death to keep his daughter alive. He said, "No, I'm not doing it." My father is ex-RAF, Scottish. very complicated narcissist. My brother is a very wealthy media music person. He said he didn't believe me and I was creating it all. And my father actually said I had internetitis and I was creating it all. So I had nobody. But I had anger in me and passion because I was not going to let this happen. Because at that point, other people came forward. Other women came forward. Other children. It was horrendous, but brilliant to find I wasn't alone and that I could do something so I could help people. And suddenly I became the British PR media broadcaster expert on long COVID. I was on every TV, radio channel, not being paid for any of it, but just because I wanted people to understand what was going on, that this condition existed. And so I took up this role and I was just the media everywhere. I was speaking to them, explaining to them. Some of them threw sand in my face or fire in my face because they did not believe it. But you know me, I'm a complete nerd. I had all the paperwork and everything. But at a cost. Unfortunately, nobody... In the UK, there were COVID payments going to pretty much everybody, including small businesses, self-employed. Everybody got money. Most people got the equivalent of their salary paid. People were looked after. They were able to pay bills. I got nothing. Because at the time, I was effectively unemployed, I suppose, because after my 9-year relationship with a narcissist ending, everything ended and I couldn't write. I still can't write. That's why I'm using social audio. And I lost my job, my company, my everything. I couldn't get out of bed most days, 18 hours in bed, in pain. And then my heart problems started. They gave me beta blockers to keep my heart going over. And I just could not find a way to get income. The DHS, the benefit system, turned me down. They didn't believe long COVID existed. They still, a lot of them, don't believe. I only started getting £300 a month disability 3 months ago. And I had a rental property that I'd been renting, which all my tenants left during the COVID period to go home. So I had to continue paying all the mortgages, the bills, the council tax, the insurance, the everything. I lost £25,000 in 2020 whilst I was ill doing nothing. £25,000 went. And then by 2021, I was in food banks. I sold everything I had. I just went through everything. I sold all my jewelry. I sold my father's wedding ring. I sold everything just to be able to feed. I was feeding my dogs before I was feeding myself. I just had nothing, absolutely nothing. I was desperate. And I did think about not being here. But I didn't do that because I had all these people depending on me. And now, today, many of you will know this 3.5 years on, I'm much better physically. Mentally, I've been diagnosed with severe complex PTSD as a result of things that happened in my childhood and these things that have happened in the last 3 years, being denied by doctors and health services and government and not being given any support and not a penny coming in. I've loaded up £30,000 on credit cards because I had a brilliant credit record before all this happened. I've done some things I'm not proud of. I forged a prescription for my dog's heart medication because I couldn't afford it. And I got a letter from the government warning me that I'm on warning for fucking jail for forging a prescription for a dog's heart because the dogs are all I have. And now I'm in danger of losing my home, which is why Monica very, very kindly said to me, because other people have said, do GoFundMe, do something. I don't want to take money from people because everybody's in distress. But she really has been brilliant. So I set up this GoFundMe just for this program. And I'm going to lose my home if I can't get through the next 6 to 12 months because the mortgage rates, I've got 3 mortgages, are set up so that I came off a fixed rate instead of paying £600 or £700 a month, I've got to find £1,600 a month. So I started doing Airbnb about 2 months ago. Surprisingly, I'm fucking good at it. I'm sorry to swear, but I've got 5-star ratings from every single guest that's come in. I've got so many bookings. I am cleaning every day. This is why I'm not on here. I'm cleaning 7 bedrooms, 4 toilets, 5 bathrooms. I am washing sheets for about 10 beds. I'm mortgage to save my home. And I'm owed money. I'm trying to get retrospective payments and benefits. I don't know if I'll ever get it. And the final thing, everything that I put into everything was an insurance policy. Because I worked in financial services 30 years, I sold myself when it was very legal and open as a director of an insurance company, was in my 20s, a life insurance policy with what is called critical or serious illness, which pays out the same amount of your life insurance if you get a serious or critical illness. And bugger it, Aviva, A-V-I-V-A, there's lots of publicity. It's in the papers in the UK. I am taking them to court. I can't afford it. I haven't got any legal fees. I haven't got a penny to my name. But they have turned down my claim because they do not recognize long COVID. And I am the precedent case. And if I can get this through, I can get millions of people like me to get compensation and to get insurance and financial services companies to pay out on claims. And that's what I want to do. That's what I'd love your help with. If I can get that after being the longest sufferer in the UK of this horrid disease, I can get millions to get their money as well. I really, really just want to do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I know that was hard. So thank you for taking the time to do that and for being so transparent with us. Okay, you guys, her link, and thank you for putting together. I know it's hard. I know it's very hard for people to ask for help. For some people, it's not. They're always, on a proverbial street corner with their hand out because they don't know what else to do. Excuse me. Others have a very difficult time asking for help. So that is not lost on me. I had to overcome that very early on in my widowhood because I recognized that it was pride and I was blocking a lot of the blessings that were trying to find their way to me. So thank you very much for putting that together. So guys, let's not leave it sitting here with $0 in it. And are these pounds I'm looking at or euros?
Pounds. We're not in
You're not on Euro anymore. Okay, got it. Yeah. Well, it tells you how much I've traveled to the UK. So, excuse me. I mean, I'm the German girl and the Greek. I remember being on drachmas and in the Deutschmark. So, you guys, her link is on her Twitter page. It is also going to be on mine. It's also up in this nest. Okay, and I'm going to post, and it's also on Alpha's Rumble page along with mine. I'm going to post her video so that work does not go to waste because it's actually quite brilliant, to steal your phrase. I love the montage that you put together. It is very helpful in painting a complete picture, just like you just did. But in terms of, just your expertise, your professionalism in media as well, I don't think that's lost on you or on us, and can certainly
still talk a lot.
Yes, you can. And we love you for it. We're glad you're still here to talk with us. So, and thank you so much for allowing us to be here. You guys, I'm going to open up the floor for any questions. If you guys, I know Maze is up in the speaker position. It's been here for a while. I don't know if you have questions for Moneypenny or anyone else. Prayers, comments, questions, not stories. We're not doing personal testimonies of what you've been through. We can do that in another space, but this is strictly for these 5 honored folks today. And if you do, ask for a mic, come on up. Please keep it to 2 minutes or less. and then I'm going to pray us out of here, and we're going to keep rolling. And Moneypenny, again, yeah, I think we're just at the beginning stages of being able. Here's the deal: for those of you who have platforms, don't let me be the only person opening up my microphone. Again, I'm not in competition with you guys, and you're not in competition with me. Like, do the right thing and start highlighting these folks who need help. That's all I'm asking you guys to do, and I'll be happy to continue to promote you guys like I always do. But Chris, 10. Beautiful prayer, something, word of encouragement, and then we'll move through the hands.
Well, I just want to say, Moneypenny is often in the spaces with the pirate radio spaces with Lou. Shout out to Lou, who's here, and of course James R. and J-Man and Alpha. And Moneypenny, we're thinking of you. Your story's heartbreaking. Hopefully, there's some good, generous people in this room that'll help. And I also wanted to say that I have got some messages from several individuals in the space that have found it hard to listen to the stories because they're going through it themselves. And as I've directed them is, to reach out to, well, first of all, I thank them for opening up, but I told them, encourage them to reach out to Monica and reach out to others. And hopefully this will spread, and hopefully people will reciprocate and also use their platforms to do the same. So I just wanted to leave it with that. Tim?
Moneypenny and I have been talking about this for a while now, and it's really disgusting that the leadership in the UK has fallen so far from what they state that they offer. It would be one thing if they let you know and they made it so that they weren't taxing you and taking your money away for services which they don't ever really intend to actually give you. And that is maddening. Because, if they want you to be independent and they want you to do on your own, at least let you know that that's how it is, and make that a possibility, and make there a fair market for you to do it, rather than creating the situation where you're dependent on their system and their approval, but then they simply revoke that approval and deny you the process to access it. It's really wicked, and I think, among not only the help that Moneypenny also needs, a very strong arbiter to leverage back, because I think she has more than enough legal grounds to turn this around and put it squarely on the shoulders where it belongs, not hers. So I pray for that, definitely.
Thank you, Jen. Maze, go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, I've known Moneypenny for a long time, but I probably have heard only like 25.
Can you hear Monica? Go ahead.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
She's talking. You can't hear her, Chris.
I can't hear that.
I'll
So
boot
there
you.
I am, okay? I'll jump down out of the space.
Okay, come back. Okay, go ahead, Maze.
But I've only heard like 25% of that story. I think, she's shared her struggles actually dealing with the topics in the spaces, which were always around like, COVID and stuff like that. But all of the, the backdrop of what she's been through that wasn't really related to the topic. At the link that you shared up there, and that's Sean's Get and Go. That's not yours. So I don't know if you wanted to replace that. I went to your page to look for it.
That's tinfoil. You see, I didn't put it up. It was somebody's put it up. It wasn't me. You put it on me.
Oh, wait, maybe that's it right here. Hold on. Okay, I found it. Okay, I found it. So cool. Wait, no, that's Kevin. That's Kevin Prentice. That's not you either. Anyway, I'll definitely back channel you to make sure I get the right one. But also, Monica, I just got to tell you, like, no homo, okay? But the more I hang out with you and the more I'm in your spaces, the more I fall in love with your heart, and your authenticity is like, whoa, it's crazy. It just slaps people sober. Like, I can't just tell you enough it's almost bringing me to tears because we spend a lot of time going through the dark side of everything and really, fighting a dark war. And it's so easy to forget about like the love that really makes the world go round and that brings us together. And it's like this space did so much for me on many levels, like mental, emotional, like spiritual, like, and I gotta tell you that and say thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I get that up into the nest and down into the purple field so that we have that
Okay,
there.
yes. Okay, I'm over here talking to myself. And I had my own mic muted. I'm done. Okay, thanks, 10. Yeah, I trust you. 10 will handle it. What I was saying is, thank you so much. You're so funny. No homo. Yeah, no homo here either. So here's the deal, though. I just think that of all of, oh boy, I'm going to say this is going to get me in trouble. I don't care. What else is new? So, of all the females who host spaces, you by far are like, we are kindred spirits. You by far are one of the most authentic people I've come across. And you have a very sweet and kind demeanor, which I love because Lou and I can be like, look, get in your place in line and shut up, sit down until we call on you. I'm just kidding. But really, we have a good time with it. But you are just, you're my little Twitter butterfly. How about that? And I see you that way. So I thank you so much for your sweet words because I do think you're a very sweet person. And you also have a lot of fun. And, I didn't know how much fun I was going to have hosting that space with you, a couple last week, but that was just, over the moon fun. And you cover a lot of different things that I don't. But I have to say, I just appreciate you so much for not being catty, for not involving yourself in things that don't involve you. That is just, I cannot tell you how much that means to me and to others because people observe you and they observe your attitude and your commitment to not necessarily being Switzerland, but you're just like, listen, I like this person. I don't have a beef. This is how it's going to be. Right. And I'm the same way. So thank you very much. And I'm so pleased that you were here with us all afternoon for this evening. And thank you so much for retweeting the space. There were very few people and colleagues that I've considered friends who actually took the opportunity to retweet. Roger Stone, for God's sakes. I love Roger. He retweeted the space, the promo for it. And I really appreciate that. So moving forward, I look forward to creating more opportunities for people to be incentivized to do so. And, quite honestly, I think people are just kind of bogged down in the muck and mire of that circular conversation that we're all kind of stuck in. So I'm hoping that this will be the beginning of nudging people out of that doldrum, out of just that catatonic state that we're in about politics. I've heard the same 20 people tell me what they think about DeSantis and Trump until I'm literally just blue in the face. So, no offense to some of the other spaces, but I'm just over it. So thank you. Hopefully this will inspire some other folks to jump on this and, and do the same thing. Okay, Deborah, you've been here for like a minute with your hand up. Welcome. And then I'm going to invite Chris back up and have these two give parting words. And we're going to pray ourselves out of here and get on with our evening. But Deborah, it's good to see you.
Hey, Monica, good to see you. No homo, but I love you too. Maze, you are amazing. And I love the way, as usual, Monica puts that. A butterfly. How beautiful. Only Monica could do that. But Maze, she is ours. She is no Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. She is our spaces. Several things. And Chris might be able to help me with this. He helps me with everything else. But I was going to ask Kevin because I'm not quite sure about the laws in Florida. And I think that's where he said he was. But if they're like they are in North Carolina, you have like a 10-day period that you could go back and get your house back if you come up with the money that's past due. So I don't know if you wanted to put the money that's past due, if you do want to save the equity you have in your house and try to save it, or if you're able to do that. But I was just going to kind of bring that to your attention, that that should be an option there, that you might want to write that in your GoFundMe, since you really didn't ask for anything, but you could put in how much you needed that could help you save your house, and you have that 10-day grace period to do that. The other thing, Monica and Alpha might could help with this, and I don't see her in here, but I did DM her. Luna could possibly get up with social services in Florida and I know you'll have an attorney on this. I don't know if they could go to the courthouse and file for the case to be moved there. But that's a possibility. But also she could get in touch with DSS. I've had to do this in the past when a child was dropped off with me. And you can contact your DSS in your state and have them come on out to the house, have her son's home approved as a safe place. And sometimes they will contact the DSS of the other state and kind of help them work through some of that without having to spend all the legal fees and that kind of thing. Or they could also go to the court there and do an emergency request for the child endangerment. And usually custody is 9/10 of the law. And so if you can pass that information on to her, that may help. I don't know, but
I just brought her back up, Deborah.
oh, okay. And so Luna, I don't know if y'all have thought about contacting DSS there and getting them involved. I know people say less is better, but not all of them are bad. And I've had to work directly with them when working with the police department and stuff. And so if I can help in any way, and all of you, I'm so proud of all of you, because it's hard to get on here and say everything. But Monica, this is so much what we need. This is what I've been saying. This is community. We need to go back to where we ask our neighbor for a cup of sugar, not necessarily because we need it, but our neighbor might need a visitor. I mean, and we can't depend on the government. We have let government get so big and so involved, and it just, I don't know. I don't know how to say no to people, so I give everything I can when I can. But I just want to commend all of y'all for coming up, and my heart goes out to all of you. And thank you, Monica.
Oh, goodness. Thank you. Absolutely. You're welcome. And thank you for being here. I know, hey, Jim. Hold on. Let's invite Jim up. It's good to see you here. Luna. Well, gosh, there I go, calling everybody by their pseudonym.
That's
Cynthia.
okay.
Go ahead.
Everybody knows me as Luna. Luna's actually my love of my life, my pup. So I answer to it often. Her pseudo name is Diana Ross. I'm merely a supreme in this house. But I just wanted to say thank you, Monica, for this opportunity, because I am a small account. I just wanted to tell you how I got started. I did a podcast and I was on no social media. And the person there who was very kind to me said, you have to get on something and spread the word. So here I am. But to Deborah's point, and thank you so much for what you had said, my son did go through a process called ICPC. That's the acronym for what they do to transfer the case from the custody of one state to another. And he had to have fingerprinting and a forensic interview, his financials looked at, where he has his own carpentry business right now. He's trying to get his GC license. That's like a $1,500 cost. That's not happening right now because he's paying all the lawyers, the extortionist lawyers. And he passed the ICPC and they submitted it to Oklahoma, but they would not surrender his daughter to him. And it's all about the money. The thing is that I want everybody to comprehend is that if you remember, BioMom has 4 children. 3 of the fathers are incarcerated. Do you know what a money bonanza this is to that state? This is why they're holding her so tightly. And this is why they're not letting her go. This is why the pen was thrown at me saying, if only you lived in Canadian County. This is why the first adoptive mother of the first father, that if you could follow what I'm saying, and that Monica, I did email you all of the documents. Please feel free to share them with people that you feel comfortable with. I obviously didn't want to blow up your DM and do it that way, so I emailed everything. If you need anything else, please know, thank you. I have everything that I'm saying to back it up. But I'm just saying that he passed the ICPC. He did everything, and they still would not let her go. It's about the money. It's huge, you guys. It's so huge what they're doing. And please, if anybody knows the Nancy Schaefer report, which is one of the documents that I included in the letters that I just sent to the Oklahoma Attorney General on August 4th, I sent her whole package that got, I don't know if you know who Nancy Schaefer is. Maybe some people don't, but she is no longer with us, because she wrote this report about a CPS, about what they're doing and the corruption of it. And I included that. And I said, you have done harm to me because you are taking my family, my child away. You know, I've not only lost my own child, but my grandchild. I've lost 2 times. And it's horrifying. It's really, and then my mom who did everything that she could do. My dad is a senior chief in the Navy. My dad told my son, he says, let's go to Oklahoma. I want to meet my great granddaughter before I die. And they took a trip in December of 2022 before Christmas to give her a Christmas gift because he didn't know if he was going to live long enough. I mean, they're just breaking families beyond belief. But anyway, Michael did his ICPC, and he did with flying colors, and they still hold on to the document because there is no constitutional rights in that court. It's an administrative court. This is the problem. Like they walk all over the Constitution.
Luna, is it Cynthia? I'm sorry. You take that ICP to the court in Florida, to the family judge, or to take it to the DA there. Talk to the DA, tell the DA your situation, and ask them to give you a temporary emergency order to get the child back in your custody. That the child you found out was being abused by the 11-year-old that was in the foster home. And that way you're not having to spend money. And the clerk of court will be amazing if you will just go down there and say, I need help. And Deborah, you can send her legal help too.
Here's the thing though, Deborah. The Florida CPS, for lack of a better 3-letter agency word, because it's called DHS, everything like that. But the CPS, they did the ICPC. They file it to Oklahoma. They will not release it to us. Now we know that it's been cleared, but they won't give us the paperwork to do that.
You can subpoena that. You can also go down to the courthouse and request a subpoena and fill it out yourself, and they will serve it on them, and you can get that information.
Okay, guys, here's what we're going to do. Okay, because we've been going for a while and I'm way over my time. I want you, if you two don't mind, Deborah, will you please stay in contact with Cynthia and you guys continue this conversation? Here's what I hear happening. So listen, you're in the muck and mire, so I get it, but that's the reason why we're bringing this stuff forward. So when you're in a crisis situation, which you are, and the child is, just breathe. Okay. There's a lot of moving parts. And so I prefer to silo out and it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. Okay. And so that's what's happening. And I feel like if you will stop and because here's the other thing, you are dealing spiritually in the enemy territory, which is why I prayed what I did over you earlier. Now you can keep opening the door to him by continuing to be panicked and freaked and yeah, but this and yeah, but that, and but the and then and this and that. Okay, no, stop. I'm just telling you, stop. Make up your mind to no longer step into the rinse and repeat cycle of what the enemy has you doing, because what he's doing is wearing you out and your family and your resources. He's depleting all of your spiritual, mental, physical, and financial resources, because that's what he does. He didn't come to cancel us. He came to kill, steal, and destroy. Right? So I'm not yelling at you. I'm loving you with truth. Okay? To take a breath. You have resources now. You're no longer by yourself. I think that's really important for every one of you who've been in here for the past 3 hours to hear what I say. If you're still with us, and I know Sean had to leave, Dan had to leave, you're not alone anymore. And many of you have been carrying these crosses by yourselves for a while, but you don't have to do that. That's the point of me putting this space together. And I'm not one who's just going to drop the ball, where this isn't a one and done. And so you don't have to be panicked. You're going to put all the pieces of this horrible puzzle called that you're basically a judicial kidnapping of your granddaughter, or lack of justice, trafficking really through the system. And she's certainly not alone in this. That's for sure. You're right. It is a pipeline. And between my resources and others in this space, we are going to be able to start to put some things together for you in the way of action items. But you're going to have to take the foot off the gas of running down the lane. And I know you're tired, and I know this is what the enemy does. I see it in my ministry all the time. And I've been through it too. But you're not alone. You first have to accept that. You're no longer doing this alone. Okay? Deborah has information and resources. And here's the thing. I want to remind you of something. When Christ was crucified, went up into heaven, Peter went back to fishing, right? And so Christ comes and cooks him a meal and sits down with him on the shore, and it's basically like, feed my sheep. Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? And in all of that, though, there was this exchange about, don't go back to, basically, I'm combining a bunch of different scriptures, but they're precepts. Okay, so the harmony works. I'm not bastardizing the word, but the harmony here works. Quit going back to your vomit. Don't go back to those old ways of thinking and being and doing and feeling. That's where the enemy is trying to take you out and your granddaughter. So you just have to reject that and make a decision right now in this space that you're no longer going back to that, and that you're not alone, and you're going to accept the help that's coming forward, right? He also told the disciples who were all out fishing, cast your net on the other side of the boat. And they're like, but we've been out here all day. Like, this is ridiculous. Why? We're coming in. We haven't caught anything, right? And he's like, cast your net on the other side of the boat into deeper waters. So why am I sharing that with you? Because some of you have already done something that didn't work, and it didn't work the first time. It didn't work the second time. It didn't work the fifth time. But this space is anointed, not because I'm anointed, but because the Holy Spirit has called me to put this thing together, and I did out of obedience, which tells me that he is working something in each of your lives. It just happens to be through my platform, and I'm very grateful for it. So if he tells you to cast that net back in the same pool that you've been in, or Deborah gives you some advice and you're like, yeah, but we've already done, pray about it. Be careful about your moves, because you may have to cast back in the same pool. But he works and he moves in mysterious ways, and he works through your enemies, and he actually can cause your enemies to live at peace with you. And he certainly causes my enemies to bless me, and they don't even know it. So be on the lookout for that. Put the enemy under your feet. That's where he is in the spirit. That's where he needs to be right now moving forward. This is a new beginning. You being in this space is a new beginning. All of you who came into this space asking for help. And I don't know that you guys are going to walk away with $100 million in donations. I didn't promise that. I would never promise that. But I will tell you this. I know my Father is working something new in your lives. And if you've left here with nothing else today, you've left knowing that you are not unseen, that you are cared for, that you are heard, and you are not alone.
And I love that.
And I hope that
love
helps.
that, Monica. And I'm appreciative so much. And I do hear your words. Do you remember when you told me and I said, remind me to tell you about Help Me? So every morning since this happened, I just wake up and I say, help me, God. It's like the first words out of my mouth. I just say, help me, God. I just wake up and I say, help me, God. It's all I say. So one day, about maybe 3 months ago, I swear to you, angels came to me. And I heard, and it was like breath on my ear. I heard it clearly. Help is coming. I jumped out of bed and I said, I heard you. Where are you? I mean, like, this sounds crazy town, but it's not. This really happened. And help is coming. And it was so audible to me. But these are the words that I woke up with. And I know that you shouldn't like pray and say, oh, poor me, help me, help me. But I always say, help me, God, just help me today. And I heard help is coming. So I appreciate you a lot.
You are so welcome. And we are absolutely supposed to pray, help me, help me, help me.
And Monica, the other thing she could do, Cynthia and Kevin, there is legal aid, I believe, in every state. And with the situations y'all have, you could reach out to them if you have not already. So,
Okay.
Luna, I think
Deborah, because you're full of great ideas, and we could be here all night with your wonderful ideas. So
There's
please
Janet.
don't
I never went down that rabbit hole. It used to be a really good YouTube channel before the first major purge.